Jersey tonight, the undefeated Denver Broncos and the 5-1 New York Jets. Our ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by Nissan, who invites you to test drive the new Go Anywhere Nissan Pathfinder at your Nissan dealer now, and by Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Radio Shack, the computer expert, and by McDonald's. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Giants Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. The Giants are not playing tonight, but the Jets are playing. The 5-1 Jets are going against the undefeated Denver Broncos. And what a wild few days we've had in sports. Of course, the wind-up of the championship series in baseball, and then the start of the World Series, and then college football, and then, of course, the NFL slate again yesterday. And I picked this particular weekend in which to get married. I'm quite proud of that. I'm married to this young lady. She is a beautiful young gal named Kathy Lee, and she is going to be Kathy Lee Gifford, and she is just as beautiful inside as she is on the outside. And what we really have, once again, is the three-person concept in the booth. Football tonight is Denver and the New York Jets, and it should be a good football game. We're excited about it. The Denver Broncos are a special football team. They kind of win, and they don't make it too pretty when they do it, but they just keep winning. They are the only undefeated team we have right now. Defensively, they play a wild sort of a game. They're not big, but they move around, and it's all centered around a man named Carl Mecklenburg, and we're going to see a lot of him tonight. Offensively, they have a rising young superstar in John Elway, and while he is great right now, he is going to be one of the greats of all time, I think, and I think a lot of people agree with me. There he is. He can do it all. He comes out a little bit nervous at the beginning of the football game, and when he settles down, he is deadly. If he keeps the Broncos close in any given game, and they are close at the end of it, well, you have a pretty good odds-on chance that he's going to pull it out and come away with the victory. Going against the Jets tonight, well, the Jets do feel they are underrated, and they have, well, I think they're going to play the best that they have in this season. They are 5-1, they're second best in the AFC. What more can you ask? Well, they'd like to settle all that tonight. And rejoining me after a triumphant tour with the American League Championship Series, Al Michaels. Al, good to have you back.
What a way to spend your honeymoon. On behalf of the whole gang, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And Kathy just called and she wants you to pick up the laundry on the way home, if you would. Back to real life. Good to be back, and it's a great matchup we've got tonight. And Joe Klecko talked about the lack of respect for the New York Jets. Part of the reason is probably what's been happening so far. Even though they are 5-1, they had to come from behind twice to beat Buffalo. They knocked off Indianapolis, but everybody has done that. They played a perfect first half last week at Foxborough against New England, and then a very imperfect second half, and they held on to beat the Patriots by 7. Also, another thing in terms of the lack of respect would have to do with the fact that the Giants, as the older established franchise, are still #1 in the hearts of the majority of New Yorkers, and they're having a good year. The Mets, of course, are in the World Series, and so what it amounts to is that the Jets, despite the 5-1 mark, are pretty much relegated to the middle or back of the sports section. Well, they once again want to get back to the top of the sports section, and Pat Ryan has helped to lead them back to that prominence through his exploits. Last week, it was Ryan taking over for the injured Ken O'Brien at New England. And again, O'Brien could play tonight. We wouldn't be that surprised to see him perhaps in the second half, but Ryan played well, especially in the first 30 minutes at New England. And so the veteran will be getting the start tonight at Giants Stadium before a sellout crowd and a raucous crowd as the Jets take on the only unbeaten team in the NFL. Coming into this weekend, it was Denver and Chicago unbeaten, and you all know about the Bears yesterday and their loss to Minnesota. So here we go with Ken Bell and Gene Lang, and that's Bell 35 back to receive as the Jets kick off, and this game is underway at the Meadowlands. Good deep kick, and Gene Lang drops it, and the touchback. And so Pat Leahy with 20 consecutive field goals and a good deep kick to get this thing started as the Broncos take over. John Elway really coming into his own in his 4th season in the league is the quarterback. 11 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions in the first 6 games. Sammy Winder's having a very good year. So is Will Height. Vance Johnson is back from an arthrogram at 1 wide receiver spot. And the good offensive line. The Broncos playing well really in all phases. Offense, defense, special teams. Noisy crowd. And Elway has to bark out the signals on 1st and 10. The fake, and on a reverse, It's Mark Jackson, and Jackson takes it out to the 25-yard line. He is stopped by Jerry Holmes. Mark Jackson, rookie out of Purdue, and Dan Reeves thinks very highly of him. Up front in the Jets 3-4, Bennett, Klecko in the middle, and Gastineau, who's been hurt. Then the outside backers, Jackson and Crable, with Clifton and Mel inside. Lance, of course, is a very good one. And the very suspect Jets secondary, especially the left side, with Jerry Holmes in that spot right now.
Al, I think we'll see more of a 4-down line for the Jets than we will see a 3, because they cannot get the pass rush from the linebackers. They like to go with those 4 up front. You saw it there, and that'll be Klecko in the middle of it.
And Wilhite wrapped up by Klecko, and also Bennett leading the charge, number 78.
What it really is with the Jets, they don't have the 6'4", 240-pound linebackers that you can bring on the 3-4 in any kind of a blitz. They can bring them, but they're not that effective, so they use a lot of 4-down linemen. They move Gastineau around a lot. Al alluded to the fact that he's been injured, a stomach muscle pull, and it's been very slow in healing. He had his best week thus far of the season, so we could look for number 99 to see a lot more of him tonight.
The Broncos out of the shotgun with 3 wide receivers set to the left and the other to the right, and out of the hands, deflected and incomplete. In and out of Vance Johnson's hands, and the only break for the Broncos there was that it wasn't picked off. And listen to this crowd.
They'll be into it. The Jets crowd, they're a rowdy crowd. Let's look again. Vance Johnson, the speedster, coming from the left side all the way. Now, he's coming back from arthroscopic surgery only a few weeks ago, injured in the Raider game, the opening game of the season. He has to be just a little antsy in there. That went in and out of his hands, well thrown, and it wasn't typical of an Elway early pass. And he usually throws it so hard. That was beautifully thrown.
That's Kurt Sohn back to receive, and Chris Norman, who was re-signed as they waved Jack Wheel, who had won the job in training camp, as the punter. And this crowd has taken no time to warm up. It's a high kick, average distance, and fielded at the 34-yard line by Sohn, a fair catch. And so the Jets will begin from there after a 39-yard punt. And here comes Ryan, 9th year out of Tennessee, a man who has spent a good part of the last couple of seasons, of course, watching O'Brien, but coming on last week and playing very well at Foxborough. Hector has really done a great job in relief of McNeil, and Page is the fullback. And there are the guys up front. Dan Alexander is the man to watch the right guard. Alexander, number 60. That's Billy Griggs going in motion. And Ryan on first down throwing to Toon. And the crowd with a Toon as he makes the catch at the 41-yard line, a gain of 6.
And only his second year, he's turning into an outstanding receiver. I can tell you what Ryan can do, and he'll stay in there and be very tough as we look at the 3-4 defense, and they'll stay in this a lot, Al, and they'll move Carl Mecklenburg all over the place. He'll become a defensive end and a linebacker, but Ryan does not have the arm of Kenny O'Brien. He cannot go deep down and out. He cannot really go deep on the fly like O'Brien can, but he can throw short, and he loves to work with his tight end, Mickey Schuler. We'll see a lot more of Schuler tonight with Ryan than we would if we had O'Brien.
On second down and 3, to McNeil, and McNeil to the 42, and so Freeman McNeil carries the ball for the first time since Thursday, September 11th, and he is stopped by the linebacker Ricky Hunley. So he's back, and he also has a brace on that elbow, which could inhibit his ball carrying, Frank.
It could very well. Joe Walton was concerned about it. As you can see, the right elbow, if you happen to be with us on that Thursday night, it was one of the worst scenes I've ever seen in football. Dislocated elbows, they are eerie to look at to begin with, but he has been out, of course, for the required 4 weeks. He's back. He never got out of shape because with the elbow, he didn't have to be concerned with the legs.
Third and a short 3. That's Billy Griggs in motion. That's Ryan looking one way and then the other. Good pass. First down, 50-yard line, Rocky Cleaver.
One of the tight ends, and we will see a lot of 2 tight end offense. We'll even see a 3 tight end offense. Joe Walton believes in it. Let's watch him. He's coming out of a little wingback spot. You see Schuler, the other tight end, 82 below him, and he just drives back into Dennis Smith, gets his first down yardage right at midfield.
First and 10 for the Jets at the 50. Early first quarter, no score. The Broncos unbeaten, the Jets once beaten. pressure for a gain of 1. If nothing else, what Hector has done is he's given them tremendous depth, but he's really done more than that. He's created a very pleasant problem for Joe Walton. How does he get Hector into the game more with a healthy McNeil?
Put them in there together, I guess, and I think we're going to see a little bit of that tonight. But when Hector came up 4 years ago, even as a rookie, you knew he had a great deal of promise. He has been such a help to the Jets. And McNeil down, he took over second in the AFC in rushing over 400 yards into tonight. You have to keep him in there. And
they're both in together as split backs. On second down and 9, McNeil breaking to the outside. A first down for Freeman. Louis Wright makes the stop.
That'll help loosen McNeil up, one of the great backs in the league. Has to be just a little antsy. His first action since that second week of the start of the season when he dislocated that elbow. Gets to the outside. There was no contain man out there at all. Picked up the first down yardage and moves inside the 40 to the 38-yard line. Could have broken that off for much more.
So the Jets with successive first downs at the Denver 38-yard line. 3 tight end setup, and Hector tries to bounce his way, but only picks up 1. Ricky Hundley, number 98, who's playing very well these days for Denver, and he cost them a lot, makes the stop. Mark Gastineau has been shaken up, showing us his locks. What did he weigh in at, 270, 271 today?
He came to the training camp over 280, and they've got him down fairly light now. He's been in all kinds of trouble this year with the knee. He had a groin pull and now an abdominal pull that he is just coming around from. And if they can get him back together, they really need him because he is their pass rush without all that good linebacking help.
Second and 9 for the Jets. And they send Toon in motion. Put him into the pattern. Throw him the pass at the 32. Nifty little move. And then he scrambles down to the 28-yard line. Jim Ryan put the pressure on that time on the passer, Pat Ryan. Toon making the catch and a nice move, and it will be third and very short.
Well, teammate Joe Walton is just quite simple. You bring your flanker down. That was the wide receiver coming across the middle, clearing it out, and if you happen to pick, well, so you pick. It's a crossing pattern, and when you get man-on-man coverage, and you flip it out there as quickly as Ryan was able to get it out there, you get the good yardage.
That replay showed that he actually got the ball down to about the 28, but they only give him progress to the 31. So instead of third and inches, it's third down and a short 3. Ryan makes that spot academic. He's got the first down as Mickey Schuler gets wrapped up. And the Jets moving very impressively, a la Foxborough last week, and there's an injured Jet back at the 40-yard line. And that is Reggie McElroy, the tackle.
McElroy, the right tackle, who moved over to the right side this last season. He looks like he has injured his right knee. They come out to look at Reggie McElroy, the medical staff, and we'll be back at Giant Stadium.
8 minutes and 53 seconds to go in the first quarter, and that's the only air out of the balloon thus far for the Jets, who are on an impressive drive because they've got to go to the bench to replace McElroy, and they do it with a former Giant, Gordon King, number 72. So he is in that spot as the Jets have it first and 10 from the 23-yard line. That's Rocky Cleaver in motion. And Johnny Hector turns it back upfield and takes it down to the 18-yard line.
Good, strong running by Hector, but you have a good, strong running offense in there. The Jets are going with the 3 tight ends. They keep Schuler, Cleaver, and Griggs. That is very effective, and more than that, the Broncos have not been able to shut off the passing. Ryan is 4 for 4 as we watch Hector cutting back inside. Good cutback runner, cutting back against the grain. Total disregard for the body, and he gets good yardage.
Hector last week, a club record 40 carries. Cleaver in motion again. On second down and 6, it's Ryan. Scrambling. Inside the 15, run out of bounds at the 11, and a first down. Rocky Cleaver with a nice block. Cleaver taking out Tom Jackson to allow Ryan to get that first down.
You have those 3 tight ends there, and they're all over the field. Cleaver gets a good block to provide the first down for Ryan. Here comes number 89, working against Jackson. And that allows Ryan to get inside the 15, down close to the 12-yard line. But so far, Denver has not been able to shut off the passing with the 3 tight end offense. And if you can keep them in there, you for certain are going to be able to run the ball well.
McNeil is the running back in this set. And there's confusion, and we have a penalty marker as McNeil carries over the right side for 2. And we'll get our first call of the night. The referee this evening is Fred Wyant. And he said,
encroachment, number 57, first down.
And then they moved the ball 5. Tom Jackson was the man across.
Very quick, still in his 14th year. Danny Reeves, head coach of the Denver Broncos, in his 5th year. He's done a tremendous job there. Almost disregarded everything that he picked up from Tom Landry. Not the philosophy, of course, but the system. And he came 5 years ago, and he served under Landry as a player or a coach for 16 years.
First and 5 from the 6. Inside handoff. Hector fights his way. Touchdown.
Yes.
And Dan Alexander threw a beauty. The guard, number 60.
Hector breaks it back against the grain, as good as any back playing right now. Watch this. Alexander is 60. He gets the key block on it, but Hector reads it well, plants the left foot, breaks it back, just uses the power, and he is a lot stronger, and he said it this past week, than I thought I was, because he has really filled in for the injured Freeman McNeil while he's been gone. So 3 tight ends in there, Al, they make a tremendous difference in your ground game, and so far Denver, they're not very big on defense, and they've been unable to handle it.
Hector last week with those 40 carries, which was a club record, and 143 yards, and he also scored 3 touchdowns. So this one beginning very much the way last week's game at Foxborough started.
I say the Broncos aren't big defensively. Well, they aren't big compared to a lot of teams as they look in the NFL video replay unit as to whether he did indeed get in or not. We're going to look again, and they are looking up here. Art McNally is the official present tonight. Let's look at it again.
After further review, the instant replay, there is no touchdown. The ball is on the 1-yard line.
So he is just shy of the touchdown, and you can credit Harden with a saving tackle. And so there is a victim of technology, at least at the moment. In years past, it would have been a touchdown and 6 and going on to the extra point. But you take another look now as Harden, for the moment anyway, saves the touchdown.
He went down before he broke the plane with the ball, and it is a good call. The head of officials, Art McNally, is the man in charge tonight. They have a new setup tonight. The umpire tonight has a little earpiece, and so does McNally, and they can talk back and forth. They're not yelling and screaming, and we are finally getting state-of-the-art equipment out.
Well, now they have Page and they have Hector again. So let's see if they give Hector the ball and give him another shot, and they do. And he leaps, and he's in for the touchdown, at least temporarily.
Says, hey, there you are. You want it all the way? I'll give it to you. Big drive by the Jets. They wanted to be able to move the ball on the ground. All coaches do. They wanted to be able to move the ball, keep the ball away from John Elway in that offense, and they've used up most of the first quarter, first half of it. That's a great effort here. Misses on the hurdle, comes down, and spins back into the end zone.
So Hector gets his touchdown. And that's only right. As Leahy attempts the extra point. And the Jets picked up 6 first downs on that drive that started at the 35-yard line and consumed the better part of the first half of the first quarter.
Hector did most of it on the ground, along with McNeil. He carried it 40 times last week. Is he durable? You better believe he is. And a good extra effort as he spins away from Foley for the touchdown.
A very impressive Jet scoring drive against a good Denver defense, and New York on top by a score of 7-0. As Leahy spins it in the air down to the goal line, taken by Gene Lang, fakes the reverse. Lang out past the 20, the 30, and bumped out of bounds at the 40-yard line. So a good return.
Dan Reeves will move that ball around. We've already seen one reverse tonight. They do it because early in the game, particularly, you get a team that's kind of all fired up and enthused like the Jets have been. You catch them on the pursuit. That time, you would not have even had to have the reverse because there was a huge gaping hole over in the right side and super field position now for John Elway.
1st and 10. Denver at its own 39-yard line. Jets ahead 7-0. 7:16 to go in the first quarter. Winder is 23. Wilhite is 47. Elway, so mobile, and showing it here, and turns what might have been a sack into a little gain, or at least no gain, as Mark Gastineau runs him out of bounds up near the 40-yard line.
He does it so effortless, too. He wanted to go to Vance Johnson coming across over the middle, but nothing was doing there, so he spins away, and he is being pursued by Gastineau. Gastineau, even though he's injured, is very fast, and Elway nevertheless was able to get back to the line of scrimmage. You can see the knee brace that he wears on a permanent basis. The knee is fine. He just wears it. It's that left knee, the one he plants when he releases the ball, and it takes a lot of shock over the course of a season.
Report on McElroy, twisted left knee for the Jets tackle. He will be back. 2nd and 10. And it's Winder dropping the football and simply thinking about recovering it, which he does back at the 28-yard line. Kyle Clifton was there. And Winder only thinking about possession. The Broncos, among other things, have been turning the ball over with great infrequency this year. Only 8 turnovers in 6 games.
This is very heady by Winder. Take no chances. You're in your own territory. Cover the ball. Don't be a hero. We don't need them at this point in the game. And there will be a loss all the way back to the 29-yard line. But if you ever had one quarterback, you want it in there in 3rd and long. It's Elway. He can buy a whole lot of time back there, zipping around till he can get an open receiver.
3rd and 20 as they look for the 49-yard line from the 29 out of the shotgun. 3-man rush, and now a 4th starts in, and the pass is incomplete, intended for the well-covered Watson. 4th and 20.
We know where we are playing tonight. This is a fired-up Jets crowd. Jets gave them a good season a year ago, 11-5. They went to the playoffs, beating out the Broncos, who were also 11-5 with the playoff elimination combinations.
Kurt Sohn, the Fordham Flash, who's back at his own 25-yard line. And Chris Norman, who was the Broncos punter the last 2 years, was beaten out by Wheel and then went back home to Albany, Georgia, gets the call again, and it's not a very good kick, and takes a sideways bounce, and it will stop dead at about the 34-yard line, and thus the Jets will begin drive 2 from just about the same spot they started drive 1 after a 38-yard punt. 7-0. We talked about the Jets and their seeming lack of respect. One of the reasons right there, as you can see, and the Bills are on there twice because they played Buffalo twice, 14 and 28. But the schedule does get a lot tougher for the Jets, especially over the next month, as they begin this drive from their own 34-yard line on 1st and 10. And Ryan drops it off of Freeman McNeil, and McNeil slipping. Nice move, cuts back to the inside, gets loose, and McNeil takes it all the way to the 43 of Denver.
Beautiful run by McNeil. Following his blocking, McElroy had come in at right tackle once again. He's limping off again, and we'll take a look at it again. Just a little flip out to the right. And Joe Walton again keeping Ryan with those good percentage passes. Gets a block out front. Good block out front. Turns it upfield. And nobody cuts back any more quickly than McNeil. And he gets a first down. He's in Denver territory. What they're doing, and Joe Walton has to be pleased, using the 3 tight end offense or 2 tight end offense, getting a lot of extra blocking. They're able to move the ball, keeping Ryan out of trouble while they do it.
This is Hector. Slips a tackle in the backfield, and then a hurdle as he runs into Hundley at the 38-yard line. And McNeil, we talked about the injury and the elbow, and this took place on a Thursday night, week 2 of the season, on this run. And this is what put him on injured reserve until tonight.
dislocated right elbow, and it was an awful sight. But he is back and running at full strength. The fact that he hurt the elbow, he was able to run and keep the legs in good shape, and the wind and everything that goes with it, even though he had the injured elbow and was on the injured reserve.
On 2nd down and 3, a deep drop and then a sack. Back at the 48-yard line by Rulon Jones. And the Broncos, no strangers to sacks. They have 5 sacks in each of their last 4 games, a total of 20 over the last 4.
The 2 key figures, 77 is Mecklenburg, Jones is 75. They are the ones who put on the pass rush. Rulon Jones there first. That was his 8th of the season. But this is what they do well. They are, again, not big. Joe Walton, in talking with him today, said, if we can blast out at them, and he's going either with 2 tight ends or 3 tight ends, and that's exactly what they're doing. If they can control them, and they can move the football.
From 2nd and 3, they go to 3rd and 14 and run Hector up the middle down to the 40-yard line, where he is stopped by Ken Woodard. So at the 40, you'd be thinking about a 57-yard field goal. Leahy's been terrific. He's kicked 20 in a row. But at this point in the game, as McElroy has to be carted back to the dressing room, and we'll get a further report on him, which initially was an indication that he would be back, but that may be changing.
He tried to go into that last series and was in one play and had to leave.
Will Height standing back at the 10, and Dave Jennings to do the punting. And the former Giant kicks it deep, but too deep as it bounces a yard in the end zone, and it's a touchback. So Denver starts its drive from the 20-yard line with the Jets on top, 7-0. The Jets punt, 4th and 14. There's the man, Mike Harden. Late flag called for a personal foul at the line of scrimmage, and thus as we come back because of that personal foul, the Jets maintain possession, and the ball is at the Denver 25-yard line with Griggs in motion on 1st down, and Johnny Hector taking it through the middle for 5 yards. So the Broncos, who have been committing very few turnovers and not beating themselves, and of course nobody's been beating them since they're unbeaten, make a critical mistake here, down 7-0 instead of their ball at their own 20-yard line. Now the Jets are deep in Denver territory.
And the best of all worlds right now for Joe Walton. He'd like to get away tonight without using his NFL leading quarterback from a year ago, Ken O'Brien, who still has a very sore knee. And if Ryan can get it done, moving the ball on the ground, using the 2 tight ends, the 3 tight ends on occasion, the little sure passes, well, he'll keep him in there all night.
On 2nd and 5, look out, and you could see that, but Ryan couldn't. Mecklenburg, 77.
He comes from everywhere. They move him all around the line of scrimmage. They have him as a defensive end. They move him into the middle as a linebacker, and that's where he comes from on this occasion. And the Jets just blowing that. Pulling out to a little slight roll. Now that is a design play. Ryan rolls out. He works pretty well with that little half roll. That time Mecklenburg had no one in front of him. I don't know whether he was blitzing or not. He just read it, saw no one, saw Ryan pulling out slowly, and he was there.
Now 3rd down and 13, and they send Sohn wide to the left, with Toon and Walker both to the right. And on 3rd and 13, he flips it out and incomplete for the flag. Intended for Hector going down the side, but Ken Woodard, who'd come in this defensive scheme on 3rd and long, Ken Woodard, number 52, is flagged for the penalty.
Interference, number 52, 1st down.
And so another key Denver mistake.
Woodard, of course, had no way of knowing, but that pass was overthrown. Ryan had it ahead of the intended receiver, Hector, and no way that he would have been able to get to the ball, but Woodard didn't know that, so he committed the foul, and the Jets keep it alive once again. Again, the good percentage pass to keep Ryan out of trouble. He had basically thrown that one away.
So 2 penalties have kept this one very much alive for New York. Jets at the 17-yard line. They lead 7-0. And Ryan, pump faking, scrambling, little shovel out to Freeman McNeil, and he takes it to the 13-yard line. Escape routine as Rulon Jones nearly had him sacked.
That's exactly what it was. Ryan again starting to feel the pressure. See the movement. Rocky Cleaver, one of the tight ends in there. Ryan looking left, nothing doing there. Now he steps out of the pocket. He knows he's not getting the time he was getting earlier. As you can see it collapse. Rulon Jones was there, getting pressure from Cragen in the middle. Flips it to McNeil. And he still was able to pick up a couple of yards out of this.
2nd down and 7, and they have both McNeil and Hector in the backfield. And off the quick count, it is Hector taking it to about the 12. Short gain, and the longtime veteran Louis Wright in his 12th year out of San Jose State, number 20, makes the stop. Johnny Hector, great track star at Texas A&M, good hurdler, long jumper. And now Joe Walton forced to find a spot for him.
2nd-round draft pick back in '83 when all these quarterbacks came up, and there is Joe Walton, who genuinely believes in his quarterback Ken O'Brien. Again, he would like not to have to work Ken O'Brien tonight if he can avoid it. And so far, Ryan has been able to move the ball club.
And the Jets, as the graphic illustrates, have moved very well deep in their opposition's territory. And it is to the 10-yard line for Hector, who makes the juggling catch, but comes up short of the first down by about 3. And thus the Jets will attempt a field goal. So they go from a punt and keep the ball on a penalty to a 3rd and long to keep the ball on a penalty to a field goal attempt. Leahy is 3 shy of tying Mark Mosley's all-time NFL record of 23 consecutive field goals. What a week for poor Mosley. Sent home by Washington after all these years, and now his record's in jeopardy. 27-yard attempt, and that's good, and that's 21 in a row. And the Jets capitalize on a couple of penalties, take advantage of the break, and it's amazing how similar this quarter is to that first quarter last week at Foxborough, Frank, when New England had the ball for 3 plays in the whole first quarter.
And of course the wheels came off later for the Jets as they lost half their football team. But it's a typical Denver Bronco defense. They do not do a lot of blitzing. And what they like to do is move their interior linemen around. They bring Mecklenburg from everywhere, and that's what I was alluding to earlier. They do not do a lot of blitzing. They move the line in stunning movements. Joe Walton says he thought he could go at it straight ahead with straight ahead blocking. He thought he could do it with the 2 tight ends or the 3 tight ends. He's been able to do that. He's been able to keep the football away from the Denver offense. And he's putting the points up on the board also. It's working out just about like he planned it.
We'll just stay in the booth and be here next Monday as the Washington Redskins come into Giants Stadium to meet the Giants. Trying to rebound after yesterday's loss to Seattle, and the Redskins hanging on to beat St. Louis in what started out as a rout. Big matchup in the NFC East next Monday.
That NFC East is going to go right down to the end. I don't think any other way to look at it. There's Mecklenburg. He was a 12th-round draft pick in 1983. And they started him at defensive end. That's what he was. He was very light. They moved him to linebacker. He could do anything and everything they wanted to do. But according to Dan Reeves, he is a very bright young man. He can do all the things they want him to do, move along the line of scrimmage, and pick up all those assignments as they change throughout the course of a game and handle it with ease and skill.
Lang and Bell are back deep, and again it's Leahy with a good deep corner kick to the goal line. Lang comes back up the middle with it and takes it out to the 21-yard line. So the Jets are sort of reliving what they did last week, and for Denver, when you go back a couple of weeks ago, they had a bad first half against New England. In fact, John Elway said it was the worst half of football he ever played, but then they had a brilliant second half and beat the Patriots. And so Elway, who's barely had the ball, starts this drive from the 21-yard line. 20 seconds to go in the period. 10-0 Jets. Cuts it back. Gain of maybe half a yard, and it's Marty Lyons who makes the tackle.
Marty Lyons, excuse me, I was having a great year, and much of it is because he's getting an opportunity to play under Bud Carson, the defensive coordinator who came in a year ago. The Jets wanted to go to a 3-4 and stay with it, but they do not have the personnel to do that, so they play a lot of 4-3, and that means Marty Lyons is in there a lot. He makes a big play as the first quarter ends, and the Jets have dominated this first quarter, certainly in terms of time.
Start the second quarter at Giant Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey. Al Michaels and Frank Gifford with you. And a near-perfect first quarter for the Jets.
As close as you're going to come against an undefeated football team.
And we start with second down 10. Denver from its own 21-yard line with Elway retreating. And still looking for his first completion. And good coverage by the secondary. So he scrambles per usual and turns it into a nice little game.
He is something different. And again, Joe Walton felt that defensively, and Gastineau now is slow getting up. What a tough early part of the season it's been for Gastineau.
The major injury for him is that abdominal pull to which Frank referred earlier. And again, Gastineau, who had come into the game with one total sack, and that was comprised of 2 what they call half sacks. Another look here as we key in on Gastineau, 99, and also with him is Marty Lyons.
Again, what I was speaking of a moment ago, Joe Walton felt he had to pressure Elway early in the game as Gastineau is limping, and I think he'll go off for at least a breather. But to try and pressure Elway early in the game, because when he settles down, there isn't much you can do about him. And if you don't believe that this really happened to a 6-0 football team in the first quarter, -4 total yards, where they have Al 7 combined offensive plays, the Jets totally dominating.
Look at that. Look at that should be in red on the left side of the screen with all those minuses. Meanwhile, take a look at the Broncos and how tough they've been rushing. The Raiders 116 yards in game 1. Those are the totals for teams against Denver. And you can see by the averages, which are low, 1.8 against the Patriots and in the low 2s. And the Jets with 51 yards on the ground in the first period. So Gastineau comes out, and it's third down and a yard from the 30. That's Winder repositioning next to Wilhite. And Wilhite gets the ball, and on second effort, might have the first down. It's going to be very close. They have to get to the 31.5.
Again, I think it was Joe Walton. As we look again, he does get the first down over the right side behind the efforts of Lanier and Howard, but Joe Walton wanted to get into Elway's face with blitzing if he could early in the game, because John, when he settles down, and he usually does that midway through the second quarter, he can really be deadly. He is a little hyped up at the beginning of the game, and that's why the Jets have tried to put pressure on him early.
Denver with its first down, and the screen is set up to Wilhite, and Wilhite takes it out to the 44-yard line. And so the Broncos, who went 16 minutes without a first down, pick up 2 back-to-back as Mel makes the tackle.
Watch number 73, Klecko, and a good play against the Jets. They're trying to get the pressure I mentioned a moment ago against Elway. You come right back with a middle screen, and you get the first down out to the 44-yard line. A good call. And Denver they'll get untracked. You can count on them.
First down at the 44-yard line. Sampson wide left, Watson wide to the right. Elway stepping up and stepping out and throwing to a wide open Clint Sampson, and he drops the football.
This man can get out of more trouble. He makes it look so easy. Watch him again. He settles down. He doesn't do anything desperate anymore now in his 4th year. He is very calm, very collected. He's very confident. Gets away from Gasso. And looks downfield. He has the receiver. Almost catches it for Sampson, but he doesn't. But a good move once again by Elway. He makes it look so easy back there.
Elway 1 out of 4 for 12 yards. Jets on top 10-0, 13:20 to play. First half. Shotgun. Wilhite takes the handoff. Works out to the 47-yard line. Gain of about 3. 3rd and 7 upcoming. Remember Hamilton? We were talking about McNeil's injury. Hamilton that night, and he has his head wrapped in a special, or at least a special insert in his helmet. He suffered that severe forehead laceration his helmet coming off, and he scraped his way across the AstroTurf and missed a couple of weeks.
Hospitalized for 5 days. That was a scary night here.
3rd and 7 from the 47 out of the shotgun. Elway looking behind him and then throws, and it is incomplete. 2 receivers were there. Sampson came back for it. Jackson was also in the area as they improvised, and they nearly completed it. The pressure was put on by Klecko. And how about Elway taking a look back? Not only does he see the whole field, he hears you as well from behind.
What happens by the middle of the 3rd quarter towards the end of the game, the defensive linemen start to run down. Klecko misses. Elway knows he's there, can feel the hot breath, if you will. He knows he's going to get popped also, but he gets the ball downfield. Sampson, well, he could have had it. But towards the middle of the 3rd quarter, the 4th quarter, these defensive linemen who have been chasing Elway all day long, or all night long, as is the case tonight, they start to run down, and that's when he starts to pick on you.
So Sohn, the kid out of Fordham, would he be the 8th block of granite to receive the kick from Chris Norman? Short kick fielded at the 12. Sohn past the 20, 30, and runs into his own man, and down he goes in a heap at the 43-yard line, and it's Norman who'll get credit for the tackle. Good run back.
And Joe Walden's type of football player. He loves Kurt Sohn. He'll play just about anywhere you want him to play, anywhere on the special teams. Total effort. He takes the somersault, but a good return on yet another bad kick.
IBM presents You Make the Call. Steve Fuller of the Bears passes deep downfield for Dennis McKinnon, who was contacted in midair by defender Scott Case of the Falcons, who is intent on intercepting the pass. Now, you make the call. Is this a legal play? What call did you make? When both players are in good position and making a bona fide attempt to catch or intercept the ball, contact is legal.
This ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by Nissan. I invite you to test drive the new Go Anywhere Nissan Pathfinder at your Nissan dealer now. And Kurt Sohn has given the Jets good field position.
26-yard run back after a 36-yard punt. Jets have the football at their own 43. 12-14 to play in the first half. 10-0 New York. Ryan getting the start again. And a marker is down, intended for Walker, who looked back late. And Walker covered on the play by Mark Haynes. Here's the call.
Pass interference, number 85.
Against Walker, so offensive pass interference pushing off.
Walker working against the former All-Pro with the New York Giants, Mark Haynes, who had his position, and Walker just drilled right into him. You'll see it right here. Haynes playing it really just straight away, had his position. Walker came in, put the arm up there, and foul very obvious. Haynes, by the way, just coming back from a pulled thigh muscle, and they plan to use him a great deal over on the right side, although Mike Harden at the right cornerback has been playing an awful lot. But Dan Reeves will play every bit of his personnel on defense and play a lot of it.
10-yard penalty, and thus it's 1st and 20, and it's Sohn rapidly in motion. And another flag goes down as Hector takes the ball out to the 41-yard line. The Jets, of course, are also working with a line right now that has Gordon King spelling McElroy. Report on McElroy, a retwisted knee, won't return.
Offside, number 73.
Offside was Simon Fletcher.
Here's the other 73, Klecko, getting a little breather. He has had a great season thus far. He's a great football player. He's been to the Pro Bowl, 3 different positions, defensive end in the old 4-3. He's been there as a nose tackle. He's been there as a tackle in the 4-3.
As far as their offensive line is concerned, we're talking about King, and he's number 72. Also, keep in mind, Joe Fields is hurt and out, and Guy Bingham, 64, is the center. So a retooled offensive front for the Jets. First down and 15 from the 38-yard line. Ryan throwing to the outside. It's tuned at the 48-yard line, and he's across the 50 to the 49 of Denver. Mark Haynes run him out.
On this series, as we begin the second quarter, Walton has the 3 wide receiver offense in there now. There's Sohn, number 87, Toon on the outside. And so now Ryan is trying to get to those outside people, and he does so right in front of Mark Haynes. And when you have Mark Haynes out as long as he's been out with that full thigh muscle, well, even though he has been a Pro Bowl cornerback in the past with the Giants, you have to test him, and you have to test him with one of the rising young stars in this game, Al Toon.
2nd and 1. Nice play. Batted away. Steve Wilson, number 45. Batting it away. Wilson, 8th year out of Howard, and kind of one of the forgotten defensive backs, but a very valuable man for Dan Reeves.
I think had Ken O'Brien been on the throwing end of this, it would have been a different story. I mentioned at the very top, Ryan really does not have that strong arm to go deep. It's not a pass that Joe Walton likes to call a great deal with Ryan in there, but it's one that at least you can keep the defense honest with every now and then.
3rd down and 1 with the double tight end setup, and they give the ball to the short yardage specialist Tony Page, and his first carry of the night gets it down to the 47 and very close to a first down. 11:40 remaining in the half. First down, New York. Toon, as you look at Page, Toon making 3 catches thus far tonight. Frank talking about his leading the league through 6 weeks. Gary Anderson of San Diego, who caught 11 passes yesterday in that wild one against Kansas City, had taken the lead with 41, but Toon now with 3 tonight is back up on top. Leads the league with 42 receptions.
Yeah, Joe Walton is choreographing this game just as he wanted it to be. He comes back with the 2 tight ends now. Trying to go back to the ground game.
Hector moves the pile down to the 41-yard line. Gain of close to 6. 2nd and 4.
Let's take a look at it again. Shula, one of the tight ends, right at the bottom of your screen, number 82. And this offensive line just blowing out against a smaller defensive line that they don't like to blitz a lot, but they like to confuse you. They do a lot of stunning, and that means switching assignments. The end will move inside the tackle as the tackle drives out. They don't blitz that much, but they like to confuse the blocking, and the Jets are just blowing it out straight.
On 2nd and 4, Hector takes it to the 38-yard line. Stopped by Ken Woodard. 3rd and 1. A long one. What a night it would be for Walton in so many ways, Frank. If they win, they're 6-1. They'd maintain a 2-game lead. If he could keep O'Brien on the bench and have him back to 100% next week, if he could spot McNeil and let him work himself back in, well, that would be optimal for New York.
That's exactly what he's hoping to do. And of course, with Denver only down by 10, that's sort of meaningless here in the 9 minutes remaining in the first half. They can explode very quickly.
3rd down and 1, and Ryan's going to throw, and Ryan under pressure, and so is the receiver, and a flag is thrown late. Briggs, the intended receiver, and the Broncos are furious. Wyatt gets the message from the field judge, Pat Mallett.
Pass interference, number 45, first down.
Steve Wilson. And a late flag, too.
That keeps it alive down at the 34-yard line. Let's take a look again. This little half roll was put in for Ryan. He works better when you can roll him out to the right. The Broncos have been getting to it very successfully, and there is the interference call working against Griggs. Was Steve Wilson.
Real marginal. Through the middle and down to the 25-yard line.
You know, this can be self-generating. They are really blowing Denver off the line of scrimmage at the moment.
So now it's McNeil, and they can have McNeil do it, and they can have Hector do it, and Page for the short yardage. And look at the offensive unit work. 3
tight ends. Good block. And Gordon King with a good block down from the tackle position, filling in for McElroy. Explosive effort by Freeman McNeil. He's close to another first down.
2nd down 1. that much time remaining now in the first half. McNeil's carried the 20 yards, 3 carries. And carry number 4 should have a first down. And there's Toon ready to come in with the next play from Joe Walton.
And Zeke Bratkowski on the left, who works with Joe Walton. Joe Walton works with Rich Kotite, the offensive coordinator, up in the press box. And there is O'Brien, just to the right of Joe Walton. Richard Todd recently signed after the injury to Ken O'Brien. Of course, Richard Todd was here from 76 to 83, the starting quarterback for many of those years with the Jets, and of course released a little earlier in the year by New Orleans.
First down, New York from the 23-yard line. Hector stopped at the 21. You know what happened this week, of course, with Richard Todd is they made him play Elway on the scout team, or at least emulate Elway, which was not what you would call something out of Central Casting.
I wouldn't say impossible, but certainly implausible. There he is. That's one of your quick-footed ones.
But they got the idea anyway. Second down and 8. Hector, who last week gained 143.
Broncos have just not been out there offensively.
No. Second and 8 from the 20. That's Toon in motion. And going back the other way, Hector makes the catch, and good night at the 19, says Ken Woodard. One-on-one with him. 3rd and 7 upcoming. Jets had to be very concerned with McNeil's injury. Hector, they knew, was a good back, but they were probably wondering just how good and just how durable, and he has summarily answered those questions the last few weeks.
3rd and long, 3rd and 7, and now we bring Wesley Walker back in, Toon back in. We're down to the 1 tight end, and this is Mickey Schuler territory down here, and Ryan likes to go to it.
And they send Schuler in motion, and then run it the other way with McNeil to the outside, and a first down to the 8-yard line. They had it, all of the big guys, Toon and Walker, were they to throw, and Schuler going to the right side and ran it back behind Bingham and Banker.
Good call by Walton and Kotite, the offensive coordinator. Denver thinking pass all the way. The little draw gets the good block by Guy Bingham, the center. A little bit of an open field, and he's going to get a lot of yardage for you, but the Jets had their wide receiver offense in there. Broncos thinking pass, and we're thinking with that, we've got to put the pressure on Ryan, and that's when the draw works, and it did.
Broncos came in favored by 3.5. Jets lead 10-0. First and goal from the 8. Hector stopped at the 6-yard line, trying to follow number 72, Gordon King, and the play broken up by Woodard, number 52.
Almost a frustrated look in this Bronco defense. And they are being nailed and driven off the line of scrimmage throughout the entire first half, and the Jets dominating the game, even though they only lead by 10-0. They have had the football almost the entire first half. The Bronco defense, they're just not used to this.
Second and goal. And they give it to Page, and he gets 2, and it will be 3rd down and goal.
Broncos defense not only has been tough throughout the season, they have been first in the NFL through the first 6 games against the rush, and the Jets have moved the ball so easily tonight. It has to be a little bit frightening. I'm sure that Joe Collier, their defensive coordinator, will be at the drawing board when they go in at halftime.
Now the Jets, as you can see, that's 11 out of 13, 86%. They've scored when they have the ball inside the 10. They've scored a touchdown inside the 10. 3rd and goal. And Ryan gets sacked back at the 8. That's a pretty big play right now, because it means they're going to have to settle for 3, and Denver will keep them within 2 touchdowns. Mecklenburg, number 77, who else?
He is everywhere. They just could not keep him out of the lineup after he had Shown as a 12th round draft pick that he could do it all. Former defensive end of Minnesota when he came up. Put him there. He did it okay there, even though he was light at about 230 pounds. He beefed up. They put him a linebacker. Now he does it from every position.
25-yard field goal for his 22nd consecutive field goal attempt, and that one is absolutely, as Dan Jenkins would say, dead solid perfect.
And he liked the distance. Keep that string alive.
4:08 to go in the half. It's been all Jets. 4:08 to play in the half. Al Michaels and Frank Gifford with you from Giant Stadium, East Rutherford, where the Jets have dominated the first half. Leahy has kicked a couple of field goals. His kickoffs have been very good, and this one is not an artistic success, but goes to the 4 on a bounce where Lang takes it and brings it out shy of the 20. So good coverage by the Jets on the kickoff return, and Denver starts deep. Tom Baldwin making the stop, and Ryan doing the job again this week. And O'Brien waiting with the jacket.
And again, Joe Walton would dearly love to keep O'Brien on the bench throughout this game, and so far this game has been choreographed like a work of art. It was exactly what Joe Walton said he would like to do against what he thought was a very confusing defense, but one that was not all that big. If you went right at them with big people and used those tight ends well, then you could move the football. He's done just that.
First down from the 19-yard line as they send Watson in motion, and Elway under pressure throws off balance and incomplete and out of bounds, intended for Clarence Kay, the tight end.
Working beautifully. The other thing that Joe Walton wanted to do, he wanted to pressure Elway, and he wanted to pressure him early in the game, and that's exactly what they've been doing.
Good football game for you. CFA football this Saturday. Coverage starts at 3 Eastern time, and Penn State unbeaten, coming off their rout of Syracuse and ranked 5th, taking on Alabama, ranked 2nd, and coming off their big win over Tennessee. So the Crimson Tide, the Nittany Lions, CFA football Saturday.
And we'll keep you out of the Pac-10 tonight.
Yeah. We have some scores to report from the Pac-10 from Saturday, just in case you missed them. Second down and 10 from the 19. Elway, sack, Bob Crable.
A rare sack by a Jet linebacker, and particularly against somebody as nimble as Elway. But the sack is all the way back to the 11-yard line, and Elway was trying to get deep to Vance Johnson. Crable over on the right side has really come back all the way from a terrible knee injury of a couple of years ago. The former Notre Dame star beats the block and takes Elway right off his feet.
I know you were getting married on Saturday, but I just want you to know that Arizona State did beat USC 29-20.
A great happening.
On to Pasadena. Elway steps up, deflected, incomplete. Tom Baldwin, number 95, who made the tackle on the kickoff return, comes in the 3rd and long defense and backs it away.
I tell you, you're looking at a 6-0 football team that's totally confused out there at the moment. Elway back, does what he does best, out of the pocket. He could have run, I think, for the first down, but he does not like to do so. He had a receiver open downfield, and watch Tom Baldwin. Bats it up in the air, takes Elway with it, and forces their punting team to kick from their own end zone, and Norman has not been kicking that well. The Jets should get it back in good field position once again.
Norman's kicks have been 39, 38, and then the line drive 36er, which was brought back by Sohn for a net 10. 3:14 remaining, and that's not a very good kick either. Fielded at the 48-yard line by Sohn, breaks it to the outside, inside the 40, the 30, and down he goes at the 25. And Norman again makes the tackle. And when your punter makes the tackle, you're in trouble.
I'd hate to see the way Jack Wheel was punting when they released him for Chris Norman. Norman, not a good kick, and it was a low kick, the kind you will return, and Kurt Sohn promptly did that. Stepped up, gave it a look up the middle, and that's just to pull the defense in, and then steps to the outside and rips it off back to the 26-yard line. And the Jets, again, they are totally dominating this football game in every aspect.
37-yard punt, first down, Jets, as the flip goes out here and taken to 24. by Hector. And Foley is in on the stop, and it's O'Brien at quarterback now for the Jets. So Ryan with a terrific first half, and then Walton goes to the bench here and has O'Brien come back from the knee injury.
That really is surprising, because Joe was very outspoken that he would not bring him in, and now we see that Ryan is leaving. He is going inside with one of the trainers, so something must have happened to Ryan. We did not get the report.
We'll get it for you. 2nd down and 8 from the 23-yard line. 2:21 to play in the half. And O'Brien lofting it for Walker. Welcome back.
And what I said earlier, you want to throw the ball deep, you get O'Brien in there. He'll never underthrow it. This is one of your basic blowouts thus far. Everything working for the Jets. Dennis Smith trying to stay with Wesley Walker. He'd never do it in a sprint, and O'Brien will never underthrow it. He worked so well with Walker on the deep pass. Remember those 4 touchdown passes of Walker against Miami earlier in the year in that thriller? Not a bad way to welcome your quarterback back.
And what touch, too, to miss a game, to come in cold off the bench. And O'Brien holding because Ryan normally does, but with Ryan gone, O'Brien really getting into the thick of things as Leahy kicks it through. And again, it's a perfect first half for the New York Jets. And the Broncos stymied by penalties and bad punt coverage, and Ryan and O'Brien 20-0. The New York Jets have had the football 4 times tonight. They have scored 2 touchdowns, have kicked 2 field goals after the punt run back.
Now the double substitution.
Losef back in and Tonov back in.
And if the Soviets ever had a rotation where they were
in his 2 efforts, and it's 20-0 as the kick from Leahy is taken at the 2 by Lang. Fred Wyatt at your service.
Illegal block in the back, number 59, first down.
Darren Como, number 59. So it's 20-0 New York. A little deja vu in a way. Last week the Jets so spectacular against New England, but New England came back to close within 7 and were driving at the end when a fumble ended that one. And for Denver, they have to be thinking back to their New England game and that terrible first half. And Elway said it was the worst half of football he's ever played. And when that baby was over, Denver had won it 27-20.
He'll be able to put this up against it. Their 5th possession of the night, they've gained 15 yards of offense.
From the 8, on first down out of the shotgun, Elway throws over the middle as a penalty flag down. Watson has it out of the 15-yard line and the marker down inside the 5.
Illegal motion, number 76.
Number 76 is Ken Lanier. Reeves says, what?
When it comes unglued, it comes unglued. The Bears yesterday at one point, the other undefeated team, they were down 23-0 at one point before ultimately losing to Minnesota.
The 7th week number 7, has not been a lucky one for the Broncos or the Bears, or for that number 7, in fact. Elway, 2-minute warning at Giant Stadium. It is 1st and 14 after the penalty, and the Broncos have been shut out to this point as Elway goes back, and it's tipped and incomplete off Will Height's hands. That graphic showing you the Broncos have not been shut out in the first half of a game since early '84, and that was the Bears, and they wound up getting shut out that day, 27-0. Meanwhile, when Ryan went out, here's what happened, and this is why they've taken him back for rib x-rays.
It did not look like much. Just an easy little fall. Nobody really on him. Rulon Jones was in on that particular play, but he looked to be all right. We did not even notice him leaving the field, and they had to bring out Ken O'Brien. You see him grab, however, the ribs on the left side, and I presume there are x-rays being taken at the moment.
2nd and 14 from the 4, and it's Will Height who takes it out to the 12, and the Jets want to take a timeout on defense because they think they can hold him and get the ball back. It'll be 3rd down and long. Meanwhile, Elway is now 2 out of 9 for a measly 20 yards. He's been sacked twice. And when he said it was the worst half he ever had against New England, he was 6 out of 18 for 48.
20-0, and the way it's going, you'd say, well, this is history because the Jets have dominated in every area, but you don't say that with the Denver Bronco team. They never do look pretty when they win. They are down by 20, but with the John Elway, they could bring this thing back.
New York City Marathon. Frank and Kathy will be in that one on November the 2nd at 10:30 Eastern Time, a.m. The annual
That is a great happening. It's turned into an absolutely fantastic happening.
That's on the 2nd of November. Great schedule of games upcoming for us. Of course, next week, Washington here against the Giants. And just looking down the schedule, Rams at Bears the following week. Miami, Cleveland. We have San Francisco, Washington all coming up in the immediate future. But there it is next Monday, Washington and the Giants. Third down, call it 5. As Elway steps up, goes the other way and has it batted down. Intended for Watson, and Jerry Holmes got over there to bat it away. And so the Jets have taken their timeout on defense, and that leaves them with 1:37 as they get the ball back.
There's no other quarterback in this game today who would even try that. It wasn't effective. It didn't work, but just take another look at it. Elway threw that thing completely across the field. Jerry Holmes provided the coverage on Watson, and I think Holmes was even shocked that Elway could get that much on the football. He's losing, but he's fun to watch.
Chris Norman has kicked, and here he goes to Sohn. 36, 37, 38, 39 yards have been Norman's 4 kicks. So he's been a model of consistency. But Reeves doesn't like that consistency. And he's a model again. That's in about the same neighborhood. 48-yard line. Sohn has it. And at least the punt coverage unit does its job as they hold him to the 49. And he's right on the mark. That's his best kick of the night. 40.
That'll get you into new occupation. It has really hurt Denver. Of course, the wheel was hurting them earlier in the season. But again, the Jets have this great field position, and Joe Walton is going to stay with Ken O'Brien. O'Brien, by the way, if you're not aware, you probably have not been watching this game or paying much attention to it, was the NFL's leading passer, top-rated passer of a year ago. A tough kid in his 4th year out of the University of California, Davis. One thing he will do, he'll stay in that pocket and wait till the last possible minute. He thinks he can do anything with the football. Often he does, but he gets sacked a great deal.
From the 50, knocked down, intended for Rocky Cleaver. 2nd and 10.
Everything working just as it was put on the board this past week for the Jets. Rich Kotite, their offensive coordinator, works most of the offense with Joe Walton. And their defensive coordinator, Bud Carson, his defense has played just as well as the offense.
2nd and 10. O'Brien deep for Walker. And he really takes a shot on a pass that wound up slightly underthrown, and he gets popped by Mike Harden, whose personal foul earlier led to a Jets field goal.
Here he is again. He's splitting his zone defense. Louis Wright is in front of him. And Harden coming back. That ball was just underthrown. I said earlier, you won't see O'Brien underthrow it. There's one that was underthrown. It could have been 6. A little late there.
Marginal. 3rd and 10. 49. Sohn in motion. He comes to Walker's side. Toon is on the left. O'Brien glanced that way. Throws over the middle for Sohn. And nearly intercepted at the 25-yard line by Steve Foley.
Foley was just playing center field back there, and he was watching Sohn all the way as the Jets were back in their 3-receiver offense. And here is Sohn. Looks to be open, but Foley was watching it all the way, reading O'Brien's eyes, stepped in front of it, should have had it. And that could have helped the Broncos with 1:12 remaining in the half.
Foley with 44 career interceptions, and only Donnie Shell and Dave Brown amongst those active have more. Wilhite stands back at his 10. And into punt for only the 2nd time is Jennings. and this is the 1,041st punt of Jennings' long and illustrious career, and it bounces at the 15-yard line. And again, not your basic artistic success, but Denver has to start at the 8-yard line, and that's the 10th time this season that Jennings has put the ball inside the 20-yard line. Mark of a good kicker. At least it's the measure of a good kicker, how many kicks inside the 20.
As so often happens, though, when it's going your way, it goes your way completely. Jennings got a terrific bounce off that. The Broncos, less than a minute, 59 seconds on the clock remaining. They're down at their 9-yard line. You don't want to get terribly risky down here because you're down by 20, but you can come back from that. You turn it over again and give the Jets 7 more, even 3 more. Well, right before the half, that could really hurt.
First and 10, Denver from the 8. Elway from the gun. Look out. Gastineau spins him, but there's Elway, and they did not rule in the grass. And now he dumps it and somehow completes it to the 16-yard line, and Wilhite makes the catch. Right nearly in the grass.
He was in the end zone, I think, 3 times. Did they get him in the grass?
It's funny because we've seen some almost ludicrous in the grass calls. I'm thinking about that one in the Green Bay-Chicago game. And if Green Bay-Chicago was in the grass, this was a sack in the dirt.
You do have to control him, though. He spins away from Gastineau. He was not in the grass there. Now he'll step across the goal line, and maybe the officials may be a little more judicious about their call. And that was amazing. He was able to get that ball away. He just strong arms it. That was Bennett. It looked all right. He makes it all look like it's difficult. Here he is across the goal line, back into the end zone. Very confident in what he can do with the football. That's amazing.
Elway, a great star from day one, really. He's a kid who grew up with a great knack for sports. His father coaches Stanford and has been a long-time coach. And I said to his father, I talked to him today on the phone. He was in Palo Alto. I said, when did you know you had something real special in your son? And he said, when the neighbors started to complain about him throwing rocks, that he just loved to play.
What you going to say? When we burped him.
Yeah, could have been.
Been a star all his life.
Probably the same day. Second down, 1 from the 17-yard line. Sewell and Wilhite are in there flanking Elway. Wilhite stays in the block. Penalty flag is thrown, and the pass is a one-hopper to Sewell.
That flag is in an area where you're probably going to get the holding call.
And it's against Denver, and Dan Reeves hopeful that his team can come from behind again. Remember, they trailed the Raiders at one point by 9 on opening day and came from behind to beat them 38-36. They had the miserable first half against New England, trailing 13-3, and came from behind to win that 27-20.
Holding, number 64, second down.
That's Billy Bryan, the center.
Danny Reeves, talking with him today, was very outspoken. He said this is a good football team. They maybe don't think they're getting respect, but they are so well balanced in what they can do. They can run the football no matter whether Ryan's in there or not, no matter whether McNeil can play or not. They're well balanced offensively and defensively. And he wasn't just saying that. Danny is pretty candid when he speaks with you. He was very concerned about it. And as you can see, I think he just wants to get off this field in the first half. He was looking at his chart a while ago, and there's nothing on that chart that's going to help what's happened thus far in this first half. They've just been outplayed emotionally and in every way.
It is second down and 10, and Elway nearly getting it, and they call it this time. This time they call it.
Oh, yeah.
And then the Jets compound it as a fracas breaks out, and it was Keith Bishop, number 54, right in the middle of things. And I think they may have flagged him initially, and then the melee really starts. And so they don't call in the grass when they had 2 opportunities earlier on marginal calls, and this time they do. And that's a pretty big play because that puts it out of 3 touchdown range. It means you need 3 TDs and a field goal.
Personal foul being indicated against the Jets. No question about this. Elway back in the end zone and attracting a crowd. Bobby Humphrey comes up there first, and he has him right there. And now Elway still spinning around. You see Bennett getting in there and hammering Elway to the turf.
Then we have
They'll
a
get the
personal
safety.
foul, roughing the passer against number 78. It'll be a 15-yard penalty. Kick from the 35.
Safety stands, and the ball will be put in play from the 35 rather than the 20.
An amazing first half in the sense the Jets doing absolutely everything right. Elway and the Broncos can't get on track. It's 22-0. And again, it's a very big play in as much as we know Denver is explosive and they can score and they've come from behind, but now they're down by more than 3 touchdowns. And as you can see, the safety had already been called there before number 78 Bennett came in.
Bennett slamming Elway to the carpet. Joe Walton again has everything going his way, and as I mentioned earlier, that hurts a great deal. It isn't so much the 2 points, because the Broncos have proven many, many times they can come back. And they have a lot of confidence in themselves and their quarterback, but you get that right before the half, before you go into the locker room. That does hurt. They have been a notoriously good second half football team, but now they are down by 22 and they lose 2 more right before you have to go into the locker room and talk it over. But they are being totally overwhelmed. The Jets can move the football, but defensively they have just been annihilated also.
3 out of 11 for Elway. Humphrey gets the sack, by the way, and Humphrey was a receiver, so when all of his marks go into the football register, you'll see receptions and yardage and sacks.
You saw 3 for 11 by Elway, but he had people in his face every time he went back to throw the football. That's when you get bad stats. You can be the greatest quarterback ever come down when you have somebody looking you right in the eyeballs, blowing a little smoke in your face, and chasing you out of the pocket every time you drop back. You're not going to have very good numbers.
Free kick now, and again, after the penalty, the kick is from the 35-yard line. And a terrible kick again by Norman, a little punt that is squibbed and caught at the 28-yard line and run it up and out of bounds for the Jets is number 76, and that's Big Ben Rudolph.
Again, that poor punt by Norman allows the Jets to even think about getting more points. They have 27 seconds remaining on the clock, and they are not in what you would call dangerous field position, so they can try to at least think about moving the football. Whether or not Joe Walton will decide to do that or just take his 22-0 lead into the locker room conservatively, we don't know, but they certainly could think about it.
1st and 10, Jets now from the 34-yard line. And they'll be content with Hector out to the 37-yard line. So Humphrey, part of that somewhat maligned Jets secondary. But the Jets offensively and defensively and special teams. Okay, we start the second half. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, East Rutherford, New Jersey. John Elway loosening up, but he'll have to wait a while because the Jets are receiving as we start the 3rd period. Rich Carlos puts it in the air, and JoJo Townsell, the former UCLA Bruin, comes out from the 6, past the 20, and is dropped at the 23-yard line. And so the Jets begin from there. And coming back into the game is Ken O'Brien, who took over for Pat Ryan late in the first half, completed his first 2, 1 for a touchdown, and then threw 3 incompletions.
And we mentioned when he did come in, this was a top-rated quarterback in the NFL of a year ago. Class of '83 that included Dan Marino, John Elway, Tony Eason, Jim Kelly, Todd Blackledge. Wild group.
Report on Ryan, bruised ribs, can return if necessary. First down from the 24-yard line, and Hector begins the second half by getting racked up at the line of scrimmage by Tom Jackson. That's Regis in there, isn't it?
Indeed she is. Look at these numbers. They're absolutely bizarre. Time of possession, incredible. This is a 6-0 football team, and they have been embarrassed in the first half, and if that first play defensively was any indicator, the play by Tom Jackson, the loss of a yard on the running play, well, we are going to be watching a different football team.
Second and 10 from the 24-yard line. Hector and McNeil both stay in the block, and the pass is thrown and batted away, and a flag is thrown.
You have got to.
And it's Harden again with Toon, and Harden is furious.
Unlike the first half, Joe Walton brings out his wide receiver offense. That means Toon and Wesley Walker. There's no question about this call, as Toon was man for man against Mike Harden. Mike Harden, no way, with O'Brien time to throw the football, is going to cover Toon.
Both people playing the ball.
Whoa.
No call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's right. I think he's right after that call. Let's take a look.
Here's Harden, 31. They both look into the football. And you can see, they said that Toon was pushing off on Harden. You didn't see it there, I don't think. Toon was trying to get an arm up to go for the football, and in any event, they bring it back.
Well, they got entangled, and that's the call after the initial flag and the conference, and it's third down and 10 from the 24-yard line. McNeil on a sweep to the 27-yard line, and thus the Broncos a good and auspicious beginning defensively to the second half, and they'll get the ball right away.
I think we're going to see a lot of that in the second half with O'Brien in there, as Joe Walton is forced to go with his quarterback, Ken O'Brien, who really isn't ready to come back from that knee injury. They wanted to give him another week if they could. When you get an obvious passing down, you have this kind of a lead. Well, you come with the draw, you come with the sweep, and that's what we saw right there. Don't put him into the obvious pass rush situation.
Gerald Wilhite stands at his own 28-yard line. Jennings to accept the snap from the 11. Wobbly kick, not real good, but takes a decent Jets bounce and is down at the 34-yard line. And the Broncos will begin from that point after a 39-yard effort by Jennings. And so Elway, after that desultory first half, comes back out to start period 3.
They get good field position to get us started here in the second half, and I think we're going to watch a different football team. They were embarrassed, the 6-0 Bronco team, the only undefeated team left in football, down 22-0 at halftime. They have a good start at the 34.
Complete out to the 46, and it's Clarence Kay, the tight end, who takes it out to the 48. Also, if you're going to be embarrassed, you don't want it to be on Monday Night Football. You're going to get embarrassed, it might as well be point to point.
Well, I think we'll see something very different. Knowing Danny Reeves, there's no panic involved. He probably came in, said, let's settle down, let's go back to what we came here to do, and that is to play our game. They got out of control, let's get it back again.
That's the longest play from scrimmage for the Broncos tonight. First and 10 from the 49. Elway pressured by Mel, throws, and it's dropped at the 33. He had Steve Sewell as he dove for it and couldn't hang on. And Elway, grabbed by his shirt and all, was still able to throw it down. He was pursued and nearly captured by Lance Mel.
The best of those linebackers, a Pro Bowler on the outside a couple of years last year, and moved to the inside. And again, this time Elway had the time, plenty of time. He just had to wait for it to develop, wait for Sewell to come open, and was able to get it to him on a pass that Sewell should have caught for a first down.
Second and 10 Denver from the shotgun. Elway pressured again by Gastineau. Pressured by 3 Jets, throws and dropped. A one-hand grab attempted by Wilhite, and he couldn't make the play. And a flag is down with 3 Jets in the area back at the 20-yard line. And that's Lyons, and that's Paul Howard, number 60, with him.
Think of those big linemen breathing, though. You know how tough it is to change direction if you weigh about 270. You do it all night long, and by the middle of the third quarter, the fourth quarter, you are wiped out.
Against the Jets.
Boy, that hurts. It really hurts the Jets. Here comes Gastineau in pursuit, and Gastineau is a marvelous athlete, even though he is playing hurt. And here comes Bennett, but they have been running all over the field, and there comes the late hit against Marty Lyons, and the official right on top of it, and it's going to keep Denver alive. They'll have a first down near the 35-yard line. But look at Gastineau. I mean, he is wiped out. He does have a muscle pull, but he's just tired. He's been chasing Elway all night. Elway's not even breathing. That's what happens. You wear him out slowly but surely, and then you have just freewheeling out there.
Denver on first down on a delay, and on a sweep they give it to Wilhite, but that's read perfectly by Lance Mell, number 56. Denver unable to really get anything going. Elway a bad first half. Receivers covered. Jet secondary doing a good job. Pass rush has been good. Mill's been good. And the Bronco running game, which has been so instrumental in their success this season, has been non-existent with Winder and Wilhite.
Of course, the Jets came in tonight legitimately as the fourth best team in the league against the rush, and they have done nothing to hurt that.
2nd and 10. Elway sending everybody into the pattern, throws, and racked up at the 29-yard line is Vance Johnson.
Oh, that hurt.
And that's not a good sign for Denver, because he's the fellow who got hurt on opening day, had an arthrogram or arthroscopic knee surgery, just came back, has played somewhat sparingly tonight, and he was popped by Lester Lyles.
He looked right back into the ball, had to look away from Lester Lyles, who is 6'3" and 218 pounds, and he caught a shot right in the ribs. Elway looking downfield, actually checked off underneath, throws it behind Vance Johnson, the worst place you could throw it to a receiver coming across the middle, and he took a terrific shot from Lyles. And Lyles, the second-year safety man out of Virginia, is about the size of a linebacker.
That's right. He also plays linebacker occasionally, 6'3", 218 pounds.
Vance Johnson just good athletic skill to even hold on to the football, and they continue to look at him. He took a tremendous shot.
So Denver crossing the 50-yard line for the first time, but now worried about Vance Johnson.
Hopefully it's just the wind knocked out of Vance Johnson. Second-year man out of Arizona, was a great running back out of the University of Arizona. He had tremendous speed, great athletic skill. And last year, Danny Reeves needed speed on the outside of wide receiver, so we moved Vance Johnson out there. But a former Pac-10, all Pac-10 tailback, and he says, oh, I'm all right, and I think really he just had the wind knocked out of him. If you ever had that happen to you, you know you think you're dying right there on the spot. I'm sure he'll be back.
It'll be 3rd down and 5. Broncos in Jets territory for the first time tonight. Broncos, by the way, making their first of 2 appearances in this stadium this season, because they'll also play the Giants here in a few weeks, so it's kind of a home away from home for the Broncos, but it hasn't been home sweet home. Broncos 0 for 5 in 3rd down conversions.
That is amazing. This is an undefeated football team.
Elway firing for Watson and nearly picked off, and he misread the pattern as Jerry Holmes was covering on the play, and that was somebody's mistake, as Watson and Elway normally get together on their routes, but not that time. And there's another little melee ensuing inside the 20-yard line.
We've had a couple of these tonight. Denver, I think, their action's more out of frustration. The Jets are all stoked up. If you were with us at the top of the show, you saw Klecko, their spiritual leader, at least on defense, saying, we'd like a little more respect about our 5-1 record, and we're not getting it.
Keith Bishop doesn't look like the kind of guy you'd like to run into in the back of the hotel some night.
They bring out Rich Carlos, and he's just about on the edge of his distance. He likes to kick in Denver, where he gets that high altitude distance. He should be kicking from what, about 47?
37-yard line, so a 47-yard attempt as they spotted at the 30.
He hit one from 51 yards early in the year. That's his career best against the Raiders.
And it was a big one, too, because it brought him from outside of touchdown range to inside a touchdown. And this one is
hang on.
Good, just over, just barely.
Oh, he had to grease that one.
But you don't get any more points for distance. Not in this sport. And it's the Jets by 19. JoJo Townsell and Bobby Humphrey. Humphrey, the man who got credited for the sack of Elway for the safety. They're back to receive Carlos's kick. 11:08 to play in the third quarter. Jets on top 22-3 in a game in which the Broncos come in unbeaten and favored by from 3 to 4 points. Townsell at the 10. To the 25-yard line, run down by Daniel Hunter, number 25. Good one coming up for you this Saturday. College Football Today coverage starts at 3 Eastern time. And Keith Jackson and Tim Brandt will be down there in Alabama as the Crimson Tide, ranked second, take on the Penn State Nittany Lions in a battle of unbeatens, 2 against 5. We'll be here next Monday.
Well, that'll be something.
Giants-Redskins, big battle in the NFC East.
Very important right now offensively for the Jets to get something happening again. They want to continue to control this game, and a flag goes down, and that could be a holding call. It was O'Brien using a lot of time, as he wants to do. And that usually means one of your defensive linemen, offensive linemen, will have to hold to maintain his block.
Illegal use of the hand to the face mask, number 71.
Oh, and that's going to work
First down.
against Denver. Again, it's just frustration, I think.
That's Greg Cragen.
Cragen is in there because of the injury in preseason to Reuben Carter. Let's take a look at it again. Cragen is number 71. There he is, slipping over the left as Denver comes with one of those stunts that they like to do. And there is the hand right into the face of Gordon King. And the official right on top of it. King in there because of the injury to Reggie McElroy.
Rocky Cleaver goes in motion, and Johnny Hector has the football. And he picks up about 4. Denver playing so well in all aspects of the game through 6 games this year, has been penalized 9 times now tonight for 67 yards. Already 9 penalties called against the Broncos.
And they change up again. That was a 3 tight end offense. They picked up 4 yards out of it. Now they have still 2 tight ends in. Rocky Cleaver and Mickey Schuler. And the one wide receiver is Al Toon.
And that's Toon at the bottom of your picture as they operate out of the eye, and they give it to the up back Page, and Tony pulls ahead for a first down out to the 41-yard line. Ricky Hundley making the tackle. Ted Banker led the way that time with a nice block to Spring Page on a good call.
So far, this game has been offensively choreographed absolutely perfect. The plays that are being called by Joe Walton in concert really with Rich Kotite, his offensive coordinator upstairs, been absolutely brilliant in scope, I think. Every time Denver's looking for something, they get something else.
First down from the 41-yard line. There's a busted play, but McNeil tries to make something out of nothing and barely does. Gains about 2 as Mike Harden, number 31. Meanwhile, Pat Ryan is back out there again, suffering the bruised ribs, the x-rays turning up negative, and he can play if needed. So a role reversal here because it looked like it would be Ryan maybe all the way he was going and O'Brien being rested, and now it's vice versa.
Got a quick look at the defensive unit with Bud Carson in there, and they have played superb football tonight also.
Second down and 9. Freeman McNeil nearly tripped over his own man and gets to the 45-yard line. He nearly tripped over Banker. And the veteran Louis Wright makes the stop.
Now in the 3rd down and long, in comes Wesley Walker. In comes Sohn. So we go to a 3 wide receiver offense for the Jets. And the 1 tight end. This will be very high percentage call, but they do not want to get Ken O'Brien in a dangerous position to get sacked or hit because they are still worrying about that sore knee.
Broncos go to their nickel defense, the 5th back Robbins, and they get the sack back at the 32-yard line. Freddie Gilbert, and that's 4 sacks tonight for Denver, and we mentioned that they had 5 in each of their last 4 games, and no team in NFL history has ever had 5 or more in 5 straight games. So they're close now as Gilbert gets it. Meanwhile, they work on the legs of Johnny Hector.
Yeah, that is not what Joe Walton wanted. The protection breaking down for a quarterback that he's very worried about even having in there with a very sore knee. O'Brien said before the game, yeah, I can play all right, but he wasn't too confident in that. The physician said he can play all right. I don't think any of them were too confident, however.
Jennings to kick. Wobbly average distance kick. 30-yard line, Wilhite. Banged down at the 37. Marion Barber makes the tackle. 38-yard punt and a 6-yard run back, and we've got 7:37 to go in the third. Jets 22, Bronx 3. Big series here for Denver because they were down by 22 at the half. Got the field goal from Carlos. And now we'll see if Elway can get them going from their own 37-yard line.
They didn't really get that 3 on the drive, however. They needed a penalty to get in field goal position. They've done nothing scintillating in the first half of the third quarter. They really need something out of this drive.
And there's a penalty marker down, and the pass goes out to Sammy Winder, who makes a nice move and gains 8 to the 45, but a flag went down. He was popped by Charles Jackson. Fred Wyatt is the referee. Head linesman says offside, New York. So what it amounts to is, do you want to have a 1st and 5, or do you want it 2nd down and 2?
Go, D, wake up!
And Dan says penalty, 1st and 5. That's exactly what he said.
Offside, number 73, 1st down.
Klecko.
That looks like the way Klecko plays. He's got a little blood splattered around. He has had a great season. All of his seasons, except for that very severe injury of 4 or 5 years ago and the broken bone in the leg, have been great. He is just a fantastic player, and he keeps that entire defense stoked up.
1st and 5 from the 42-yard line. Wilhite goes in motion. Sammy Winder takes the ball and takes it out to the 50-yard line. So Denver unable to establish anything in terms of a rushing game tonight, and they give it to Winder to keep the defense honest, and he takes it out to the 50, and it's a 1st down.
I think it's what Danny Reeves wanted to do, though, Al. He probably talked to everyone inside, said, let's go back and do what we want to do. And he, even though it's cliche, he is someone who believes in getting the running game going before the passing game.
Deep drop, screen, nice screen, but then Wilhite regains his balance inside the 30 and out of bounds at the 23. Good recovery by Wilhite because he had the blocking out in front and almost went down. And then finally it was Hamilton and Carter to run him out, but a nice move, good acrobatics by Wilhite to turn what would have been a short gain into a long one of 27.
And again, when you try to get to the passer, as they like to get to Elway, the middle screen is a good call. All the linemen concentrating on Elway. The linebackers back in the pass protection zones, and here he comes for the 1st down.
And this time they send Watson and Sampson, both receivers to the right. They send Kay out into the pattern, the tight end. Elway throws underneath, complete to Sampson at the 15, and out he goes at the 8. It's amazing the way this is turning out. It's Denver against New England all over again, and it's the Jets against New England all over again.
As we look at Sampson, you also saw a quick look at Elway's eyes. He is beginning to sense, I think, that he has something back on the track again as Sampson takes it down, moves inside the 10-yard line, taken out of bounds by Lester Lyles. But Elway is a method player. He gets into a football game like no other quarterback I think I've ever seen. He'll get something happening.
1st and goal, Denver from the 8-yard line. Elway over the middle and picked off at the goal line by Kyle Clifton, and out he comes to the 8. Clarence Kay was the intended receiver, and Elway can't believe it.
Tried to fire it in and tried to squeeze it in to Clarence Kay, the tight end, and a great play by Kyle Clifton. Elway is so confident that he can do that, and this time Clifton took it away from him, and that hurts.
That is the first time this season that Denver has had a 1st and goal and not scored a touchdown.
Take a look at it again. Elway with the strong arm. He will try to do things maybe another quarterback wouldn't. Tried to squeeze it in there. Great play by Clifton. Diving in front of Kay, and the Jets get it back.
First down, New York from the 8, and they keep it on the ground. And it's McNeil up the middle for a 1, and there's Mr. Clifton.
Third round pick in 84, second leading tackler, and a little more than that there. He made a great play on that first down and goal to go.
There it is for you graphically. The Bronx were 11 out of 11 on first and goal, and then the intercept at a most inopportune time for Denver as they were trying to get right back in it. It's down by 19.
That's this Bronco defense. You'll see some ball tackling down here.
McNeil goes down before he was hit at the 12. 5.5. Whew, look at that. Looks like a shot out of a movie.
I don't know whether that's his or somebody else's. You got that cherubic face. He really plays this game in a tense fashion.
You're right. Study in contrast. Third and 6. Jets at their own 13-yard line. McNeil, and they'll have to punt, so the Bronco defense does the job, and Denver will get the ball back. So Walton buttons it up, keeps it on the ground for 3. Takes a little bit of time off the clock, but Denver's going to get it back with under 5 minutes to go in the third.
And they should get it back in relatively good field position. And they drop Wilhite back, who will settle in at about the 43-yard line.
This has hardly been a punting clinic tonight.
Jennings, the old Giant punter who punted here at the stadium for so many years, still can occasionally reach back and get one that helped him lead the league a couple of times during his career.
That's an average kick. 45-yard line. Wilhite, 2-yard run back, and so the Bronx take over at their own 47. 40-yard kick. A deuce on the return, and we've got 4:11 to play in the third.
A little surprised they've worked McNeil that much tonight, just back off the injured reserve with the dislocated elbow. He's wearing a brace, but is not a restrictive one on that right arm. He can extend that arm to full length.
Meanwhile, the Broncos from their own 47, down by 19 points. Elway, pressure, sack.
Ball is popped out of there, I think.
But it's Denver's ball. Charles Jackson, 55, will get at least a half sack. He was right there. That's number 4 for New York.
Ball came loose, and Wilhite was on it. This is not what the Denver Broncos planned when they arrived on the scene. Again, Jackson, and the Jets really not a great blitzing team. They do not have the types of linebackers you like to use, but very effective there. Charles Jackson, the 9-year veteran, and Denver was just lucky they were able to recover the ball.
Looked like Lanier with the recovery. On 2nd and 18, Elway going deep for Johnson, and nearly intercepted and batted away. A nice play by Holmes, because Johnson had gotten out in front. Elway throwing the bomb, and Holmes getting back there to break it up.
Barry Holmes, of course, came back from the USFL this year, hurt his ankle at the beginning of the season. He is now rounding into shape, and Elway tried to use the speed of Vance Johnson to get a quick 6, and watch Holmes. He's right there, makes the play, and Vance Johnson not only slow getting up, but they are looking at him now out on the field. Again, he had arthroscopic surgery on the knee following the season opener against the Raiders. And just amazingly has come back, and now he is limping. I don't know whether that's the knee or not that is bothering him, but he is very slow now coming off the field.
So Johnson shaken up again. Out he comes. Meanwhile, the Jets secondary, which had been the weakest link on this 5-1 team, has turned in a most admirable job tonight. And they've been getting a good pass rush as well.
That's been it, Al. They've been getting a lot of pressure up front. Mark Gastineau, he hasn't been all over Elway, but every time Elway wants to step up and throw the ball, this man, and he is a wild one, has been there. And he gets winded very quickly because with that pulled muscle, he's not been able to work out like he ordinarily would.
3rd down and 18, and they send all 3 wide receivers to the left, spin them all into the pattern. Elway stepping up and shaking loose and has to step out of bounds. Good job by the secondary again.
Just no place to put it. He bought enough time to throw the ball, but tenacious coverage by the Jet secondary. Let's watch Gastineau again. He's had about 40 or 50 of these sprints tonight, working against Dave Studdard. Great athlete. Mark Gastineau can run about probably a 4.5 or 4.6 40, and he has been using it tonight. He is not in great shape because of the muscle pull that he had earlier in the year, the groin muscle pull, and now the abdominal one. And he is really tired after every series.
Sohn is back to receive. Norman, who's been in the upper 30s all night, is in that same neighborhood again, taking it to the 25-yard line. And Sohn breaks it back for a 14-yard return out to the 39. Tony Lilly making the tackle after a 39-yard punt. 2:58 to go in the 3rd.
Illustrates what I was talking about throughout the game. These guys are tired chasing John Elway. And here's a man who has been trying to fend them off, Keith Bishop, the offensive guard. And it's not necessarily a hot night here in New York, not even a warm night. This is just a tough football game.
I'm laughing. Did you see the way he sneaked that little high mom in there?
In case you missed it, he doubled back on it.
In Spanish. 1st down from the 39-yard line as O'Brien goes back to throw out to the 49 and close to a 1st down, and ridden back is Mickey Schuler. And we'll see about the forward progress because he's right up near the marker. They have to get to the 49-yard line. Meanwhile, the Bronco defense tonight, Elway has been sacked 5 times, and all season long coming in, he'd been sacked a total of 8 times.
That really is amazing to be able to get to him. It'll show you the severity of the rush for the Jets because well, things are fun and frivolous over the Jets side of the field. But you just don't get to John Elway that frequently.
2nd and inches. Hector, 1st down over midfield, takes it to the Denver 49. And we're down to 2 minutes to play in the 3rd period.
Our telecast, by the way, is presented by authority of the National Football League. It's intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the National Football League is strictly prohibited.
Or verboten if you're watching in Munich.
Or if you're a Bronco or Bronco fan, you're not going to want to watch it again either.
That's right. Burn that tape.
Oh, shred it.
1st down from the 49-yard line. Toon moving this way. And O'Brien dumps it over the middle. That's Hector inside the 40-yard line and double teamed down at the 39. Ricky Hundley and Tony Lilly right there.
The way Hector is developed, and now with McNeil back and the fact that Joe Walton is using them both in there together, they have some wild offensive weapons. Rulon Jones, who is the #1 pass rusher for the Broncos, along with Mecklenburg, trying to get through the block of Guy Bingham, but they do a good job, and it was a good job by O'Brien to get the ball back to Johnny Hector.
Nice job by Bingham, not only tonight, but recently, as he fills in for Fields at center. 2nd and less than 1, and it's McNeil. 1st down. Run out by Ken Woodard.
This is momentum now. The Jets, they're all in there. They're all having fun. You saw them on the bench a while ago. They couldn't care less. They know they own this football game, and they're dominating an undefeated football team. You saw the offensive line pulling that time. They looked like high school kids out there. And Danny, I'm sure, is totally frustrated. What can I do? I can't stop them, and they continue to stop us.
Just when you think you have everything together and the Broncos were looking so good, it's back to some form of reality tonight. 1st down from the 29-yard line, and it's McNeil unable to spring free, and then finally it's Hundley, number 98, who makes the tackle.
They gave a great price to get Ricky Hundley, a first-round draft pick a couple of years ago for Cincinnati. Would never sign, and they gave up a bundle of draft picks to get him, and he has turned to a fine linebacker. They knew he would be.
That's going to be the end of the third quarter coming up, as the Jets will simply wait for the clock to tick down and the final seconds to elapse, and they'll turn it around. And the Jets, oddly enough, playing very well tonight, but again, they don't score in the third quarter, and that's all 7 games this year in which the Jets have drawn a blank in period 3. But that's the only blank they've drawn tonight. Back after this from your local station. 22-3, the Jets on top. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Giant Stadium, East Rutherford, NJ, as we start the fourth quarter. And we start with the Jets at the 36 of Denver. Second down and 17 with Toon in motion and O'Brien the quarterback. Nobody there.
Yeah, but he did protect it. Throwing it away. You're sitting here with a 22-3 lead. You begin the fourth quarter. Just don't hurt yourself, and you're going to be all right. You have a defense that's playing outrageous football. They have just turned the Denver offense everywhere they've been loose. And let's go back and take a look at some of the trips that Elway has had tonight. This in the arms of Bennett after the safety had already been scored by Humphrey. And here comes Gastineau. But it'll be Marty Lyons who puts the cruncher on Elway. Penalties on both those calls, but nevertheless they do hurt.
Third down 17 from the Bronco 37-yard line. Under pressure, gone. Back at his own 45, Rulon Jones was there, and just to make sure, Simon Fletcher helped out.
This is what Joe Walton did not want to see tonight. He did not even want Ken O'Brien in the football game, and he probably would not have been in the game had not Pat Ryan bruised some ribs in the second quarter, and he had to leave the game.
And a historic sack right there, as the Broncos now become the first team in the history of the NFL to have 5 or more sacks in 5 consecutive games. Colts, 49ers, Rams, and Bears that shared the mark at 4.
A little meaningless tonight.
Yes.
Keep in mind they have also come in here tonight at 6-0.
Strange circumstances under which to do it. Jennings. Best punt of the night.
There it is. The old Jennings.
But it winds up as a touchdown.
Yeah, but it was pretty.
That figures.
You got a 22-3 lead. How about something for style points?
51 on the gross, 31 on the net. Back come the Bronx with 14:11 to go.
Would you believe these numbers if you just joined us? Denver on the left is undefeated, but look at that time of possession. This game totally dominated tonight by the Jets, both offensively and defensively. 202 yards for the Jets. That's not terribly impressive, but they've been able to put it together whenever they want to do. Denver under 100 yards tonight.
And Denver starts from its own 20 as Elway, the little Gross Cup shovel pass to Wilhite. And Lee used to run that one a lot better.
Late flag, and there might have been somebody observed a face mask in there.
Face mask. 5 yards, first down.
And it's Marty Lyons, I believe, even though Wyatt never gave the number.
That was the only thing he could get a hold of. Lyons has played quite a football game for the Jets tonight. They've been in a lot of 4-down linemen. There's Lyons spinning off the block of Keith Bishop. That was all he could get a hold of. He actually had his hand along the side of Wilhite's head and it slipped into the face mask. First down, Denver.
And from the spot of the infraction, thus it's first down and 8. Elway, high pass and incomplete, intended for Wilhite. And John, who has been so confident and so happy and so satisfied and pleased, can't believe what's going on.
It's been that kind of night. The one drive he did get going, he tried to squeeze one into his tight end, Clarence Kay, and that was picked off by Kyle Clifton. So far on the night, 8 of 22, one interception and 87 yards.
Shotgun on 2nd and 8. Elway, and he finds Watson, and Watson is run out of bounds at the 41-yard line. So Watson cutting across the field and making the catch inbounds, and it's a first down for Denver with 13:38 to go in the 4th.
So he's getting the Jets defensive linemen into shape tonight. They all have their tongues hanging out. They've been chasing him all night. You have to admire, too, particularly one Gastineau. He takes a lot of heat. He's kind of a hot dog out there, runs around, does a lot of dancing and things. But he has played perhaps his best football game of the night. He has the 1 sack, but he has been pressuring all night long.
Flag goes back the other way. Watson wide open, and look at that. Right there. Hamilton covering on the play, but right there. And we'll see about the penalty.
And again, all of the way across the field, only an Elway would try it. Strong arm.
Illegal use of the hands to the face mask, number 64.
Bill Bryan.
I didn't do that.
Who, me?
Bryan, the center. Tough to block for John Elway. This offensive line, they do a great job for him, because with him moving around back there, you have a hard time keeping your angle for the block. Here's Steve Watson. He's waiting way across the field. I was thinking about that one all night.
Of all guys, Watson, too.
I think perhaps most stunned, even more than the players, are the Denver fans watching back in the Denver area. They are great football fans. They have been selling out Mile High Stadium for decades now. They are really into the fortunes of this football team. Not sure they can't believe what's happening tonight.
Slightly jumping the gun was Klecko.
He's been to war, hasn't he?
Encroachment, number 73, first down.
That's a mild term to use on that play, isn't it?
We got to take a look at the man he's playing opposite from, because I don't know whether that's Klecko's blood or not. He's been hammering on Bill Bryan all night.
Spin off of Kiner's corner, huh?
Oh, he's beaten the best of them this year.
1st and 15 from the 36. Wilhite on a screen and a flag again, and he takes it out to the 33-yard line.
Had the blitz on, the safety blitz. Humphrey was right in the face of Elway.
Holding against Denver. You know what? Let's get the call first from Wyatt.
Holding, number 54, declined, second down.
You think the Seahawks are having a pretty good time at home tonight watching this game?
I bet they're videotaping it. You know Chuck Knox is, and I think the Denver Broncos are going to see a lot of double tight end offenses against them the rest of the season.
Well, you got the Seahawks beating the Giants. The Seahawks would be a game back in the AFC West, and it's Denver against Seattle this coming Sunday.
At Denver.
Short week for the Bronx, too.
And all the coaches in that Western Division of the AFC will be looking at these films.
2nd and 19. Elway deep for Sampson, and he's got him at the 45 of New York and a first down.
That really is about the first time that Elway could stand in there and deliver the football, at least to any kind of a deep receiver. And I think maybe it is just the fact that some of the Jet defensive linemen are just running down, and you see Clint Sampson finding the open spot. Zone defense by the Jets, as they now are beginning to become even a little more conservative. They're not very good at playing the zone. Joe Walton will tell you that. They tried it against New England a week ago and almost got murdered with it, and they went immediately back to as much man-for-man as they could.
A parade of penalties, and it continues now early in the 4th quarter with 12:21 to play.
Encroachment, number 73, first down.
Klecko.
He is really stoked up, isn't he? We're in the 4th quarter, and he's still coming. Got a sweet little face, but he can also get a little hot under there.
First and 5 after the penalty. Jets have been penalized 7 times tonight. Denver 10. Draw to Wilhite to the 38-yard line. That's the kind of play, if you run it at home, they boo you for making that call here.
This game resembles a game from a year ago that we had on Monday night. The Jets against Miami early in the season. The Jets, who finished 11-5 along with Denver and New England a year ago in the AFC. And of course, Miami went on to win the division at 12-4, but they blew Miami out just like they're blowing Denver out here tonight. When this team gets going, they're what you could almost call self-generated. They really feed on themselves.
On second down and 4, over the middle, dropped off for Clint Sampson, who was the man in motion, and he has a first down as they take it down to the 30-yard line. Crable and Clifton in on the tackle.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if Elway doesn't try to get one quickly here. Very soon he looks up there, 11 minutes, time ticking away. His speed is perhaps with Sampson out to the left, Watson to the right, but he knows if he's going to be in this at all, he has to get one quickly. He can't just 4 and 5 yard it.
Agreed. Elway. Flag is down, official goes down, and the ball goes down as well.
And Elway goes down.
Jackson. And 2 flags go down. You're right, Denver, an explosive team, showing nothing tonight except getting a lot of penalties. And yet, you're right, they're a touchdown away from all of a sudden making Walton very nervous.
Danny Reeves totally frustrated tonight. What a job he's done now in his 5th year after 16 years with the Dallas Cowboy organization.
Holding, number 64, first down.
Bill Bryan in the middle, getting another call. Denver has really lost their speed on the outside, and Vance Johnson went out with an injury a little earlier. They have Mark Jackson, the rookie from Purdue, number 80 with great speed.
Elway sidearms it, and it's complete, and it's Sampson inside the 30, and Sampson gets it to the 29-yard line. And it will be second down and about 8 coming up. 10:45 to play in the 4th quarter. Call it second down and 9 at the 29-yard line. Big first half of the Jets, near perfect. Bronx with the field goal in the 3rd. They're trying to move in here. Second down and 9, and over the middle, nearly picked off. Kay was open for the moment, but Johnny Lynn came racing up from behind and broke up the play. And Elway saying, come back to me, come back to me.
We mentioned Seattle would be at Denver as we look at Elway again. He had Kay for just a moment. He really was looking deep over the left side. And just that split second made the difference as Johnny Lynn was able to step in front of it. Batted incomplete.
Denver, a paltry 1 out of 8 third down conversions. 3rd and 9 here. 5 receivers go into the pattern. And Elway has to scramble, and he'll slide his way for a first down at the 16 and also take a little shot. Harry Hamilton.
Quite a shot.
From Hamilton. It's the risk you run when you send all 5 guys into the pattern and nobody stays home to block.
He's going to call timeout. I think he tried to call timeout. He was stunned by that shot. Tried to slide in there. He got the first down. Took it either in the shoulder or the head, and on the sidelines, up quickly is Gary Kubiak. And Elway, I think, is saying, I'm all right. And he took quite a blow.
It's been this kind of a night for Denver. Elway has now carried the ball twice for 22 yards, and he's their leading rusher.
Again, under tremendous pressure, it'll be Harry Hamilton who puts the hit on Elway. He hook slides, has the yardage for the first down. Actually, his own man coming across probably was the one that did most of the damage. You saw number 47, Gerald Wilhite. As so often happens, he was coming back to provide the block, and he could have caught John in the headgear with the knee. John gets 13 yards and the first down near the 11-yard line. Kubiak in 3 years has not played that much. 3 starts.
This is not what the Broncos needed at this point in the game.
No.
They do have a chance to get back in it. He saw some playing time to Kubiak last week at San Diego, completed his only pass for 5 yards. His only other action this year, briefly in Philadelphia.
This ain't Elway on the next down.
And it's Sampson, and he drops the ball, and it's a live ball, and it's picked up by Crable. And Crable has some help, and Kubiak makes the tackle back at the 40-yard line.
Well, the next series.
Yeah. How about Kubiak? Not his fault. Fumble, picked up. Jets have it.
Everything is going right tonight for the Jets. Kubiak, very first play. He's complete over the middle to Sampson. Ball is jarred loose. Hit provided there by Harry Hamilton, who's provided a couple of big hits on consecutive downs. And here comes Bob Crable. He's giving instructions to Lance Mel. And Kubiak makes the save at the 40-yard line.
42-yard return for that smiling man.
That's the kind of game you love to be in.
If you're in white.
Bob Crable, a former middle linebacker when the Jets were operating from the 4-3 defense. Very serious knee surgery a couple of years ago. Slow to come back a year ago. And he's back now, however.
And the Jets, who have only one loss this season, and that was a Thursday night game in September when their offense couldn't get going and McNeil got hurt and they were bounced by New England 14-6, are on their way to winning their 5th in a row and making it 6 out of 7 and staying 2 games in front of the pass.
And not much behind that in the AFC Eastern Division, as Miami is deep trouble, as is Buffalo and Indianapolis.
O'Brien off the play fake, but nobody can get loose. And O'Brien sidesteps and then throws behind Wesley Walker, who had gotten free. And it'll be 2nd down and 10.
Oh, he wanted Toon so deep for a touchdown, and good defensive play by the veteran Louis Wright. He stayed right with Toon. Toon changed up on O'Brien, came back, but it was good coverage by Louis Wright. That way, I'm sure we'll see back in there in the next series. There's still time if you had any kind of hope, but the Broncos have been unable to get anything going offensively. What they had going, they needed penalties to keep alive.
2nd down and 10, and the pass is caught at the 31, and the crowd sings its tune. And O'Brien took a shot from Jim Ryan. A couple of smiling Irishmen.
Take a look at it again. O'Brien, they did not even want to play him tonight. There is one pop coming in there and hitting him hard. Jim Ryan, the outside linebacker. Ryan went out. Pat Ryan, the starter, in the 2nd quarter, bruised ribs. They do have Richard Todd, reclaimed from New Orleans, or picked up as a free agent after being cut by New Orleans. And of course, he was a many-year starter for the Jets. They could bring him out if they wanted to protect O'Brien a little later on here in the 4th quarter.
3rd down and 1, and with a tight formation, they give it to Hector, and he can't get the first down as Steve Foley comes up to make the tackle. Now, do you send Leahy in on 4th down to try to tie Mosley's record? It would be a 48-yard field goal. Leahy has made 2 tonight, and he's 1 shy of the NFL mark, and there he is, but he's just going to stand on the sidelines and observe this one. He'll go for it.
I think Joe Walton is thinking, if I get this first down, I'll keep the clock going. I can run it down to about 4.5, 5 minutes. With another first down, I could totally put this game away.
And Hector, the hurdler, is close. That marker is right about at the 30, and it depends on the spot. And it is a first.
Hector, good athlete. Now he's limping off. Johnny Hector limping away. But he gets the first down. Clock ticking away inside 8 minutes, and I'm sure that Joe Walton is breathing a little sigh of relief. Good effort right here. About a 4-yard go for it. He has played such great football since Freeman McNeil was injured. And now Joe Walton has the luxury of having them both in there at the same time. And they can do a lot of things for you. Both good receivers, both good blockers, both good runners.
McNeil eating up the clock. Dennis Smith gets the credit on the stop. 7:20 to go. Well, if it stays this way, Jets stay on top AFC East, lead New England by 2, and everybody else is out of it. Buffalo and Miami 2-5, Indianapolis 0-7.
So much for the undefeateds.
Yeah. In the West, it would be Denver at 7 or 6-1, and then Seattle would be a game back, and Kansas City and the Raiders would be 2 games back, as the Raiders have won 4 in a row. McNeil coughs it up. And then it's recovered by the Jets at the 37-yard line. Dennis Smith made the pop. And it's O'Brien who gets the recovery.
For a man who wasn't supposed to play tonight, they didn't want him to play. O'Brien has been pounded rather severely. Got himself into a lot of strange situations.
They wanted to keep him out. We elaborated earlier. Next week they've got New Orleans here to the Jets.
Freeman McNeil trying to spin back out of trouble. Dennis Smith is there, the Pro Bowl safety. Coughs it up and is covered by O'Brien. What you don't do now is throw the interception. They're down long. 6 minutes remaining in the game. Don't hurt yourself.
Intended and incomplete. Intended for Toon and broken up by Hart. And there's a marker down back near the line of scrimmage. Holding New York.
Even the Jets fans, Al, happy as they were with tonight's results, they're starting to thin out.
We have Odie, number 82, declined, 4th down.
Mickey Schuler. And so the Jets will have to kick. They'll have to punt. We have 6 minutes to go in the 4th period.
And out comes Dave Jennings, Pat Leahy's attempt to tie Mark Mosley's record of 23 consecutive field goals. They're not going to jeopardize that with a 53-yard effort. I'm sure that's not the reason either.
Wilhite late in getting out onto the field.
Oh, things have really gone bad tonight.
Yeah. Full moon or something. Wilhite, fair catch at the 12, and 5:54 to go. So it's still 22-3, Jets.
John Elway was shaken up, if you were with us a short while ago. His own man, Gerald Wilhite, I'm sure, caught him with the knee as he was scrambling for a first down a few minutes ago. He put his headgear on, was ready to come back into the ball game on the next series, but there was an interception of a pass by his substitute, Gary Kubiak. And now they have had second thoughts about Elway going back in, and in fact they have reported that he might have a possible concussion. Well, we have seen, I'm sure, the last of Elway tonight, unless something happens to Kubiak, because they only have 2 quarterbacks.
From the 12, Kubiak throws it over the middle for Wilhite on the screen. And Gerald moves forward out to the 22-yard line. So Elway's streak of having thrown at least 1 touchdown pass in 13 straight games goes down the board.
I think everything went down tonight for Denver.
Down the drain and off the board. And nearly picked off by Mel, intended for Sewell.
Lance Mel is always around the football. Man has countless interceptions. He always seems to be there. He calls the defensive plays and has become a Pro Bowler ever since he moved inside from the outside line backing position.
2nd down and 10 from the 23-yard line. We've seen this act before. Klecko, and this time he brought Lyons with him.
Encroachment Number 73, second down.
That's major encroachment.
Klecko leading the league in encroachment. He was before the game. In fact, remember the opener at Buffalo this year? Several times came across the line and a couple of times against New England. You look over the shoulder of Elway.
You know what happens, though? A lot of people who are going to play against him, a lot of centers that are going to meet him in the weeks to come are also watching this. It'll get their attention.
2nd and 10, and Kubiak trying to do his Elway routine. Hit it to 32. Lance Bell gets credit for the tackle. Frank, the way this game is going, I mean, it just begs one question. What are you going to do the rest of your honeymoon?
You said it was a full moon. Bark at it, I guess. Isn't that what you do?
I mean, you take Kathy Lee to the game tonight after the wedding on Saturday, and I know we're back here next
She was
Monday
in charge
as well.
of research, Al.
Uh-huh.
We both worked for ABC. We both got a pitch in. She carried the board.
Make up the old spotting board for you? Just short of the first down.
That kind of a day, or night, if you will, for the Broncos and for John Elway, who said might have a slight concussion. It was a nightmare. Broncos coming in here 6-0, looking for that 7-0 to remain the NFL's only undefeated team, and they ran into a buzzsaw. They ran into a team really that they meant what they said. They wanted a little respect. There's a whole bunch of Rodney Dangerfields out there. People were criticizing them and saying their 5-1 record was nothing. They did it against meaningless teams. If there is such a thing in the NFL, I don't have to believe in it. They've earned it tonight.
3rd and a couple of inches, and Kubiak going upstairs, and it is at the 44-yard line, taken in by Sewell, away from Carter.
Sewell's a superb athlete. Former Oklahoma Sooner. They can use him as a wide receiver. They can use him as a running back, and here he makes a good move to the outside on Carter. Is right there. Kubiak had the ball in there. Carter was going up for the interception. He actually had good position, and it was just good athletics on the part of Sewell to come down with the ball and get the first down. #1 draft pick a year ago. A good Danny Reeves type of draft pick, because he could do a lot of things, just as Danny Reeves could do a lot of things when he played for the Dallas Cowboys.
From the 44-yard line, complete to Watson to the 30. Talking about Reeves when he played with the Cowboys, he used to love that halfback pass. Made it famous, and people forget, were it not for Kramer's block and Starr going in the Ice Bowl game in Green Bay, it was Reeves who threw a touchdown pass that would have won the game.
That's so true. I called that game to CBS. I remember taking a bite out of my coffee. 9 below when they kicked that thing off.
First down, Denver, and Klecko was in the picture.
Memorable game for the Cowboy up there also. Don Meredith.
The Dandy one. Dandy one spinning his satellite dish right now trying to find a baseball game.
No,
it's over. The season's over, Don.
He's dying with the Mets. Can you believe that? The guy lives in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and loves the Mets.
Encroachment defense.
And he does live and die with them, and has all season.
And Klecko is upset about this one. He doesn't feel that this was the right call.
I wonder what he wants. Got a 22-3 lead. He's been called for encroachment twice, I think, here in the 4th quarter. Gastineau has played some inspired football tonight. He's not in great shape because he's not been able to work out like he'd like to with the muscle pulls. But he does have the weight down.
1st and 5 from the 25. Kubiak. In and out, tip, volleyball, spike. Incomplete. Flag as well.
Kubiak caught a shot of the back from Gastineau.
We have 12 men on defense.
Wyatt has been on camera
First down.
more than Vanna White tonight.
If you can't do it with 11 men, try 12. Kubiak is very slow getting back to the huddle. And as I mentioned earlier, Denver has two quarterbacks. One of them is on the bench, John Elway, with a suspected slight concussion. And Kubiak was holding his back when he went into the huddle.
It'll be 1st and 5 as we welcome you to Tuesday morning football.
Joe Walton has to be proud of this group. It's a hand-picked group. He got rid of a lot of stars over the past few years. He wanted players that would go out and, as he would put it, they'll give you 100% every game for the complete game. He doesn't think there's much of that left in the NFL.
Kubiak, and it's tipped and caught for a touchdown. In and out of the hands of Clarence Kay and into Sammy Winder. And they finally figure out a way to get into the end zone with some assistance.
We'll put that into the offense.
Yeah. Tip drill.
Kubiak fires a shot. Kay, the big tight end, is there, in and out of his hands, and right into the hands of Winder. Kubiak has been able to move this football team, but you also have to realize that the Jets pretty much put this one away. They're playing for their individual stats at the moment.
Carless with Kubiak holding, and the kick is good. So Denver with its 11th possession of the night and finally getting the ball into the end zone.
Kubiak's only had 3 starts over the past 3 years. Always been the relief man. This one he gets in and out of the hands of the tight end, right into the hands of Winder, and Denver gets their first touchdown.
So Denver scoring, Winder getting the touchdown off the tip, and the onside kick is quite in evidence here as they line up everybody on the left-hand side.
Not very subtle about it, are they?
No.
Like an army over there.
And Chris Norman, who is the punter and not Carless, will attempt it. Caught there by the tight end Schuler, so they put it with good hands in the neighborhood, and a flag goes down, and Schuler is run out of bounds at the 45-yard line.
What you do, you put all your receiver types up there when you have the onside kick situation, and Mickey Schuler is able to handle it quite easily.
Illegal block in the back, number 29.
Fred has
Touchdown.
he has had some airtime tonight.
God almighty. Unbelievable. Johnny Lynn is the guy.
Week from tonight, we'll be right here, and we have a beauty, I think, coming your way. The Redskins against the Giants. That one for, of course, the share, at least on the part of the Giants, of the Houston division of the NFC.
From the 33-yard line. They'll use up the clock, and Hector takes it out to the 40-yard line. And all they want to do is stay on the ground and keep it in bounds. Meanwhile, there have been 22 penalties in this game, and the teams have been assessed a total of 172 yards in penalties, almost split down the middle.
It's been a long night chasing Elway, and a very successful night.
2nd and 3 from the 40. Hector wrapped up, but the result is really meaningless because the clock keeps on going. 22-10. Jets on top, and Elway and the Broncos get ready for a long charter home and a short week because they got Seattle coming in on Sunday.
Jets have kind of made a myth of that #1 rushing defense in the NFL. The Denver Broncos came in to tonight's game after 6 games at least, leading the league against the rush. The Jets have rolled for about 130 yards against them.
3rd and 3. Hector again, and this will take us down to the 2-minute warning unless the Broncos want to stop it with a timeout on defense. And they can't. And there's your 2-minute warning.
Johnny Hector now slow getting up. We'll be back in just a moment.
Now, Frank, that's not quite a full moon. I would call that what, a possum hunting moon?
I had nothing to do with it.
No, I don't know.
It was full Saturday, I can assure you.
That's what we used to call it. The guys in Brooklyn used to call it that.
You bay at it?
Brooklyn, North Dakota.
We have come to that with 2 minutes remaining. Jets totally dominating the last of the NFL's unbeaten. It's back to the drawing board for the Denver Broncos. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of coaches who are going to meet the Broncos for the remainder of this season have taken a long look, and I'm sure have plenty of videos now to replay and take a look at what was masterminded and put together by Joe Walton and his staff. It was very effective and totally dominant in the first half.
22-10 at 12:16 a.m. and only Kenny Wolf's mother in Brooklyn is still looking on in the Eastern time zone. From the 43-yard line, 1st and 10, Jets. Hector to the 47, and it'll be 2nd down and 6. Timeout, Denver.
That's called from the sidelines by head coach Danny Reeves.
I want to thank the boys up in the booth, as always. Mr. George Hill of Everywhere. Mr. Kelly Hayes of Malibu. Jimmy Ressler and the gang. Richard Todd.
Reference, of course, to a man who started for so many years, and there he is right in the middle looking on, cut by New Orleans earlier in the year and brought back when Ken O'Brien was injured against Buffalo. Just as a little bit of insurance. Still very popular here in the investment banking business during the off season. Makes his home in the area. A lot of miles there.
I wonder if he's got any stock tips.
There'll be no insider information.
2nd and 6, New York, 47-yard line. Cleaver in motion. Pitch it to Hector. He takes it to the 50-yard line, and the Broncos take another timeout. This one is rivaling the first 2 games of the World Series for excitement.
I'll ask you that. Can the Mets come back out?
Can they? Of course they can.
Well, I didn't mean to put it that way. Do you think they will come back?
I'd be surprised as you look at what we have for you. Penn State against Alabama Saturday, and it begins at 3 Eastern time. I think, well, the Red Sox are proving it's been pitching that's gotten them there, and Bruce Hurst, and there's our game next week. Redskins against the Giants. But Hurst pitching well in the playoffs and really showing what he had on Saturday. And then to beat Gooden yesterday and to come back to Fenway Park. And it doesn't take a genius to figure out the Red Sox have the edge at this point. But, you know, you're right. The Mets have just been in a collective postseason slump. They were able to weather it against Houston. And you got to figure they're going to break out of it.
You want to see some depression set in the metropolitan area. If they don't come back, at least make it respectable.
Well, this has been a pretty good lecture, though, for New York fans tonight, at least for the Jets fans.
Well, both the football teams played well. And, of course, the Mets, with their incredible year. Have any more, Phil?
3rd down and 3. And it's Hector. And they stop him at the 50-yard line. And Denver takes its last timeout. And thus they will get the ball back. And when they do get it back, they do not have a timeout remaining. Later tonight, yes, that's early this morning on Nightline, thousands of Africans are suffering from AIDS and the number is growing. Dr. Tim Johnson on the important implications their crisis has for all of us. It's later tonight on Nightline, which follows your late local news.
John Elway on the sidelines. Certainly sure that is not the kind of night he anticipated coming in. He's the 3rd leading quarterback in the AFC behind O'Brien and Eason. And he was buffeted around all night long. when he did get the time to throw the football, he did not have the receivers that were there, and he took quite a pounding tonight. Had a safety, and that's what it's going to look like. 2-game lead by the Jets, who I think have earned a little bit of respect now around the league. Not that they didn't have it. I think they're just sensitive around here.
Yeah. Well, if they didn't have it, they've gotten it now. There's no doubt about that.
Special group of athletes that Joe Walton has put together, though. He set out to get the players, as he put it, that would play 100% at all times, the way he looked at it. And right now, Denver, they don't even have a man back on this.
They rush 9.
Jennings been around a long time. They were not going to block that.
Yeah. And to further cement the Bronco demise, they'll take over at their own 3 after a 47-yard punt that helps out the punting average. So Dan Reeves sending Kubiak back out there, 1:26 to go and no timeouts, and that's the way it'll look in the AFC West, which all of a sudden has gotten close. It'll be Denver against Seattle this Sunday, and then the following week, Denver against the hot Raiders.
Marcus Allen is back. They've won 4 in a row.
And Kansas City sneaking along at 4-3.
And Seattle is strong. They stay healthy with Kurt Warner. He's back running like he used to run. That's going to be a great race out there, as it is in the Eastern Division of the NFC with Washington and Dallas and the Giants.
Kubiak throws complete out to the 16-yard line, but that's not the kind of pass you want to have complete with Jackson staying in bounds, and again, you can't stop the clock, so it keeps on running.
What a way to spend your honeymoon.
Yeah. You gotta love it, Kathy, huh?
She says, I've had it with football. That's probably the last game I'll ever get her to go.
She's going on the air at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Out of bounds. You want us to tell Regis you're not going to be there?
Kubiak. There was a game a couple of years ago when Elway was hurt against the Chicago Bears that they put Kubiak into, and they just about destroyed the young man's career. As a matter of fact, is when he earned so much admiration from the Bronco players and the fans of Dan Reeves. It's made a big difference as to who stayed around. I'm quite sure it was a courageous effort by Kubiak against the Bears. They mauled him in that particular game.
2nd and 10, and Kubiak throws incomplete. Sampson was the intended receiver. 52 seconds remaining. So after week 7, there will be no unbeaten teams. There will, however, be one winless team, and that's the Indianapolis Colts. And Monday Night Football produced by the Wolfman, Ken Wolf, and directed by Chet Forty. Our technical director, Joey Chavo, with only 2 syllables. Our associate director, Rob Biner. Rick Okolski, our technical manager. Ed McKenna, our unit manager. Gary Reuter, our telecom manager. Chaz Wiseman and Bruce Clark, the assistants to the producer. And Steve Hurt, research and stats. Watson, 40-yard line.
I've seen it all now. You're filling with the credits.
That's exactly right. We just might as well stick around for the kickoff next Monday, huh?
Denver can't stop it. They've used up the timeouts.
Watson with 29 seconds.
Not bad. Wesley Walker on the receiving end. Ken O'Brien touchdown pass earlier this evening. Memorable year for Wesley Walker. First of all, he's healthy, and that is always something special. In trouble over the years. When he is healthy, he is deadly and dangerous. Great game against Miami earlier in the year with the 4 touchdown receptions.
Kubiak to Sampson. He's looking to get out of bounds. And no, he doesn't even make it out of bounds. Russell Carter dropped him in bounds.
That's an official that wants to go home.
You better believe it. Thank you, official. Seconds. We don't get a break. We do not get a break from the clock operator.
It's like a water torture.
It's your basic, what, 3-hour and 20-minute ball game?
Tough one coming up Sunday. Seattle is going to come to Denver. Seattle 5-2, and there'll be one back now. Klecko played a super game tonight. O'Brien had to come in when Pat Ryan was injured. O'Brien got in and he got out, and I know that's a great relief to head coach Joe Walton.
Final play of the game. And it ends, I believe, with an interception. So if nothing else, one for the stat sheet for Jerry Holmes with an INT to end a terrific night for the Jets and an abysmal night for Denver. Truly a case of one team playing exceptionally well and the other playing exceptionally poorly.